we'll get it done. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
As summertime gets underway, what do the kids have planned? How about a fun summer activity that will benefit them for the rest of their lives? Building math excellence with Mathnasium. Mathnasium's personalized learning plans are proven to improve grades and help kids catch up and get ahead with live face-to-face instruction either in center or online. There's no better time for kids to take a leap forward in math than summer, and there's no better place for it than Mathnasium. To learn more and schedule a free consult.
And we're live. We are live. And you are looking at the nail polish. The nail polish has been shown. Jen Jensen, Patrick Perrette will be along shortly. I think, Jen, he was so terrified of the painting of the nails, even though it's I who is having their nails painted this morning. I think Patrick was so terrified, he just figured he would stay away from this broadcast in general, just in case something happened and it splashed on him, or he was very concerned about what could happen with his fingernails in this Celtics Heat bet, and really no better day to pay off this particular bet than today, as we will start the playoffs or the NBA championship tonight between the Celtics and the Warriors, and it should be a pretty entertaining series, one that I'm actually looking forward to. We'll see how it all plays out tonight in a series that I'm interested to hear your opinion this morning. If you are an NBA fan, if you're a casual NBA fan that'll kind of check it out and see what these two teams are all about, what this series is all about, it'll be kind of interesting to hear your opinion, I think, on what this means for the Warriors. Doesn't mean anything. At times we are guilty with the media of overhyping or building up a franchise or a player to be something maybe they're not. And in this scenario, I do wonder what the general feeling is of the Golden State Warriors. They've been very, very good over the last 8 years and have claimed 3 NBA championships. As they've done it in a variety of different ways. I think all 3 are interesting in how they've gone about being able to win them. And the key cog in each, the key cogs in each one has been Steph Curry, has been Klay Thompson, and has been Draymond Green. Yeah, they brought along Kevin Durant for an NBA championship, and he was able to get one in that manner. But most of this has been all about the Golden State Warriors trio of Draymond Green, of Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry. And so what does this series mean? If they win this one, it'll be the fourth one since they burst onto the scene in 2015. They won 2015, 2017, and 2018. So it's been 3 years since Golden State has last won an NBA championship. But this would be the fourth in 7 years. Pretty solid run there. Kind of a dynasty era is what I think you could officially call it. And we'll see how it kind of plays out. And on top of what it means for our memory of the Warriors, what does it mean for Steph Curry? Richard on our text line has been very adamant that Steph Curry is not really a superstar, I guess is what he would label him. I think Richard's argument has been a little interesting. I don't think Richard knows exactly where he wants to go with what he's been calling Steph Curry, because Steph Curry is a superstar by the definition of whatever superstars are. His jersey sells extremely well. He's been one of the top 3-4 players in the league. He's got 2 MVPs. But winning a 4th championship, maybe winning a 5th, getting closer to that rarefied air of Michael Jordan. And I'm not trying to compare him to Michael Jordan. Please don't mistake that. But winning a 4th, and again, doing this one kind of coming off of all the injuries that Golden State has had, coming off of the post-Kevin Durant era, I think is interesting, and would place Steph Curry into a different pantheon of champion, so to speak, in terms of leading a franchise, leading a team. So 803-404-6100. That's how you can be a part of the program this morning. If you want to hop in, if you want to join us on our live stream, you're always welcome to do that as well. Go to youtube.com, click search and subscribe, and then you can hop on, where we've already got RL, Jerry, Anthony all up and at it this morning. RL saying it's been a fun dynasty, and I kind of agree with that. A fun dynasty. It's been the San Antonio Spurs were a dynasty. They were really good, obviously, and interesting to watch, and had some neat players. Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, all part of that great run. But I don't know if they were fun to watch. I don't know if it was entertaining basketball. And that's one thing about the Warriors, is they are entertaining, if nothing else. And I think that's the great thing about this series. While I like the Miami Heat, while I'm a Miami Heat fan, and the Miami Heat are the reason I'm going to get my nails painted today in Celtic green here, as Jen has brought it, is in piggy paint. Natural as mud is what we have here. It does look kind of fun. I'm looking to see if there's an official color on this here. I don't see an official, but it's definitely a sparkly green, Jen. It is a. It's true. I'm looking at, and what is the other thing here? The top and base coat that we. Um, of course. So much to learn this morning that I will learn about having your nails painted. I think this will be a first time experience. Yeah, well, the nails are trimmed. Aside from a run in with a catfish last night on the lake, the hands look pretty good. Actually, it was the hook that got me more than the catfish. But we'll do that coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. But it was the Celtics knocking off the Miami Heat, and where I was going with that is, while I would have loved to see the Heat in the playoffs, I think the Celtics make for a far more entertaining series. Jason Tatum is a rising star in the business and is going to be something special. Marcus Smart is a lot of fun to watch. And the Celtics, I think, just in general, are actually a fun team to kind of watch. And that, going along with Golden State, I think makes for a really good series. So I got to be honest, even though, yeah, as a Heat fan, watching I would prefer, if I'm going to watch this series, I would have preferred it being the Celtics and the Warriors, because I think it is going to be very, very entertaining. I think it'll be some interesting basketball. I think there'll be some bad moments, a bad game here or there, but I do expect it to go 6 or 7 games. So 803-404-6100. Anthony weighing in on our live stream says Curry is already in the Hall of Fame. If he retired today, he has made the most 3-pointers in NBA history. Yeah, I mean, again, Steph Curry's a different kind of superstar. He's not Jordan. He's not Kobe. He's obviously not built like LeBron. And that's what makes him very entertaining to me, is being the 3-point specialist that he is, but also just entertaining, just a different style of play than the guys I just mentioned that have gone on and won and been superstars and won multiple NBA championships. So if you want to weigh in on that, 803-404-6100 is how you can do so this morning. Again, you can go to our live stream where you can be a part of the program. You can always send in a text where Jason weighs in and says, "Good morning. Looking forward to watch the Celtics versus the Warriors in game 1. I will probably be one of the few pulling for the Celtics. I just hope it'll be a good series and hope the Celtics win the championship. So certainly, yeah, we will talk more about that this morning. Get your opinion again if you want to weigh in on really the Celtics, because remember, this is the one of the stranger series in that the Celtics will show up with absolutely zero NBA championship experience. No games from anybody on the roster. The Warriors will show up with 123 games played, all in their roster. Experience wise, obviously, big favor there in terms of Golden State, but the Celtics are a really talented team. Jason Tatum, again, very good. And as Chris points out, Tatum, very good player, but 0-1 versus South Carolina. That loss, of course, he had to South Carolina, Sendarius Thornwell, Dwayne Notice, Chris Silva, Justin Mackey, all in the NCAA tournament. So, yes, Jason Tatum may win an NBA championship, but one thing he'll never have is a win over South Carolina. So we'll get into that. Patrick has sent us a text message. He is on the way and will arrive here shortly. So good to see he is not completely terrified of the painting of the nails that occur at 8 o'clock this morning. Kerry Tharp will join us, as he always does, around 8:40 to talk about NASCAR and get into that, what happened last week at the Coca-Cola 600. And as we teased yesterday, we'll tell you we are at the Worldwide Tech Raceway, Madison, Illinois, this weekend for the Worldwide Tech Raceway. So we will talk. Well, we're going to talk about that certainly at 8:40. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, Jen. I don't, I like teasing it. So I don't like spoiling it for anybody. So we will certainly get into that here. I'm pretty sure there's never been a race there. Okay, there you go. See, I'm all over. I'm well aware of what's going on, fully involved. So we'll talk NASCAR, we'll talk NBA playoffs, and we'll also talk some college football this morning as SEC meetings continue on in Destin, Florida, and some South Carolina news last night as it pertains to a wide receiver that is officially back with the football team. So a lot of stuff to get into this morning. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, 803-404-6100, how you can do that this morning. Again, you can also go and hop on our live stream, go to youtube.com or go to our Facebook page. You can also go to our Twitter account, 1075 The Game, where you can check out all ways to find the video of us being on air and doing the things we do. Robin, RL, Anthony, again, all way again. RL saying by far the best shooter the NBA has ever seen in reference to Steph Curry. So a lot to get to this morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're up and at 'em. Kids, I think most of you, today is the final day of school, a half day. So a final day of school, and then you are out for the summer. So everybody get fired up on a Thursday morning. It's going to be a beautiful day, a little warm, but that's all right. A lot better than the alternative. 803-404-6100. It's the early game on 1075 The Game.
Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Well, we have good news to start your Thursday morning. No accidents to report as of right now. Let's keep it that way if we will. And it's going to be hot today. 98 for the high, 89 tomorrow. On Saturday, chance for some evening storms.
We got it all set up and going this morning. Hope y'all are doing well. Speed and agility day. I'm getting Austin into some speed and agility. I've got him set up for a training here in a few weeks. Let's do a little work here. Should have done this yesterday or before, but I was trying to get everything set up. Patrick will be along here in just a little while. Let's see. Wednesday, June 2nd, the early game. Switch this NBA. And let's see, was it? Yeah, the
Sponsored by Taco Bell. Give yourself a new morning routine with the Bell Breakfast Hot from Taco Bell. It's filled with a grande toasted breakfast burrito, hash browns, 2 Cinnabon delights, and a coffee. Choose by participating locations for a limited time only. Drinks exclude fees.
All right, now we got the ticker going there. That's not good, Robin. Hopefully. I feel like the live stream's a little funky this morning. Morning, Craig. Hope y'all are all doing well. Let me see. Let me set something else up.
Stop wasting your time struggling to loosen rusted nuts and bolts. Start using Freol Deep Penetrating Oil. Freol spreads deep into rusted or frozen parts to help release tough bolts and washers. Its formula delivers 3 times more lubricant. That means less spray, less torque, and less time than any other penetrating oil on the market. It's even silicone-free. Professional.
Sorry.
Is that better? Can you still hear it?
I got you on this now.
Okay. Was it kind of loud in there?
A little bit, but I'm sitting here trying to get, I wasn't really paying attention. I'm trying to get some of these little banners here.
Yep.
And so I was like trying to fix that. But it's, now you turned it all the way down. So I don't think I don't hear anything in here now.
Try that.
That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
We were hearing quite a bit through the live stream, so I was trying to help make a
Oh,
difference.
really? Yeah, I mean, we did, when Patrick isn't here, obviously, I just turn on my mic and.
Oh, yeah. Do it a little different.
Yeah.
Got to get this Navage spot fixed. It sounds terrible.
I hear that now.
Yeah. There's like an electrical buzz.
Yeah. Really. Is it? Yeah.
Live from the Chevrolet studio. This is 1075 The Game. Shop online today and see why the Chevrolet is live. Hero Game 1075.
.620 on a Thursday morning, the morning of the Warriors and Celtics in the NBA playoff tonight, 9 p.m. A couple of you weighing in on that this morning as we are up and at 'em. Gator Trip saying good morning. First and foremost, as an NBA fan, let's recognize we have 2 teams in the finals that were built and not bought. It's a good point there with Tatum and also with Jalen Brown, both being drafted by the Celtics. Gator Trip says, with that said, I'd love to see Al Horford add to his trophy case, but I think the Warriors win in 5. I don't mind either team winning. And I'm with you, Tripp. I just want a good series. I want entertaining games and, 1-2 overtime games, couple games that come down to the final minute. I'm with you. As long as we get entertaining basketball, I am perfectly okay with whomever wins this series. So we'll continue talking about that this morning. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100, how you can do so. Some South Carolina news yesterday in terms of the roster. Jalen Brooks, the wide receiver for the Gamecocks, who popped onto the scene 2 years ago, was the big transfer. Everybody was expecting kind of bigger things from him. Took him a while to get enrolled in the school, or I guess to become eligible per the NCAA standards. When he finally did, the contributions were kind of minimal. Last year really didn't do much and then was suspended from the team. A lot of different reasons going around, but it doesn't matter. He was suspended from the team. Being confirmed by multiple outlets yesterday, Tony Morrell of thebigspur.com, as well as Wes Mitchell and Chris Clark at Own 3 Sports, that Jalen Brooks is back with South Carolina now. And, in terms of just adding another body to the wide receiving group, I think that's important. Now, do I expect Jalen Brooks to necessarily come out and be the number one receiver or to be a guy that really makes a massive contribution? Not really, to be honest. But I do think having Jalen Brooks around just gives you another guy who's been in the system for a while. Last year, Jalen Brooks was making some progress. He had 14 catches for 181 yards, including 4 for 63 in the game against Kentucky. He was playing well until he was suspended post-Tennessee game. Again, was he all conference? Was he lights out? Was he a guy that was a complete difference maker? No. 14 catches, 181 yards, and 1 touchdown, but he was reliable. And he was becoming a guy that both at that particular time, Luke Doty could really depend upon, given that Doty had started the Kentucky, Troy, and Tennessee game after being inserted in the Georgia game. But he was becoming a guy that was dependable. And South Carolina's, we can get excited about the wide receiver position this year. Certainly, it's going to look a little bit different depending on what they do with Jaheim Bell. If they transition him more to the wide receiver spot, as opposed to what they do with him at the tight end spot. But you've also got Juice Wells coming in. Corey Rucker is now on campus, and after a pretty stellar year at Arkansas State, but he's got to prove himself. Landon Sampson is a guy that's incoming that a lot of people are excited about as a freshman. Of course, you got Josh Van back. We'll see how they use DeCarrion Joyner. Amarion Brown is a guy that you want to see continue to grow from his bowl game performance. And Xavier Legette is a guy that has been talked about for a long time, and maybe now is when he steps up and bursts on the scene and becomes more of a reliable receiver. So I name all of those guys, and you feel good about at least depth, I guess, bodies, just people being there, because outside of Josh Van, you still need guys to really push each other and show what they're capable of at the SEC level. Corey Rucker's at the Sun Belt for Arkansas State. He's really good. Really good. Juice Wells at James Madison, the FCS level, really good. Did a lot of great things. Can it transition to the SEC? And for a guy like Jalen Brooks, who in his career right now has 25 catches for 281 yards and just 1 touchdown, again, that's for his career at South Carolina. It's nice to have a guy there that has some experience, but you need a guy that's able to step up and is really able to push other players. And I think that's what the wide receiver, that's what Justin Stepp needs there at that position is not just bodies, as I look up and realize that the Duke's Mayo Bowl is on in front of me here on the SEC network, but you don't need just body. You need guys who can push other players to become better. You need competition. And B from Columbia says, aren't we over the scholarship limit? Not saying I want Jalen Brooks to go, but I thought Beamer still had to cut down the roster. Now, Brooks was technically still on the scholarship. He never was taken off of that number. So technically any number you've heard over the last, I guess, 6 months, he was actually Jalen Brooks was a part of that. So it's not like he's being added back on to the scholarship portion numbers that you've heard so much talked about. So 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in this morning. Richard weighing in. I feel like we're going to have a mess, bunch of skill position talent across the field, but we'll have an offensive scheme to maximize the talent and get these guys the ball where they need it. But we'll see. That's going to be, look, obviously the bowl game certainly, I think, changed some opinions of what Marcus Satterfield is capable of doing. But I'm with you, Richard, in that it's got to be consistent, right? Like, you have the quarterback now that can make all the throws, is supposed to be able to make the reads, can get the ball to the guys to be able to make plays. I do think at times we gloss over of what Marcus Satterfield and South Carolina had to deal with last year at the quarterback position. And certainly now, after watching that bowl game, we can make the case of, man, that it should have probably gone to Kerryon Joyner a lot earlier in the season and let him take advantage of his athleticism. He's not a bad passer, so it's not like, you've got some guy out there, a wide receiver or a running back, just trying to throw passes. Joyner is a fully capable passer. And you can make the case that maybe Satterfield and Shane Beamer should have seen that and gone to Kerryon Joyner a lot sooner, as opposed to Zeb Nolan or even Jason Brown. Although Jason Brown, obviously, if not for him, South Carolina doesn't go to this bowl game that I'm watching. They're not playing against North Carolina if it's not for what Jason Brown did. And obviously, in that game against Florida, in the game against Auburn, South Carolina was efficient enough and made just enough plays with that offense to be able to win the game. Now you put a quarterback in that many expected to be the number 1 pick, or at least a top 10 pick in this past draft, and didn't have an awful year last year, but certainly made plays that most schools would take, Oklahoma not being one of those. Now you put Spencer Rattler in this system, and the question will be, how does Marcus Satterfield, along with Justin Stepp and Freddie Kitchens as a senior offensive analyst, how do they devise game plans? How do they break down defenses when they're watching the week of and come up with a game plan that is best able to use these playmakers that we just talked about? And then again, Juice Wells did it at the FCS level. Was really good there. Can he do it at the SEC level? Corey Rucker, really good at Arkansas State. Sun Belt, not the SEC. Totally different conference, totally different step up in competition. We'll continue talking about that, but the news yesterday, Jalen Brooks, South Carolina wide receiver, officially back with the Gamecocks now. So he will be going through summer workouts, and again, gives them another guy that has experienced 25 catches, 281 yards in his career, 1 touchdown, but at least has experience, has been around the program, and maybe can push other guys and create more competition. So that's just, to me, the big thing there. 803-404-6100. We continue to roll on. If you want to weigh in, that's how you can do so. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. Patrick Prett will be along shortly. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
30 years ago, the South Carolina Gamecocks entered the SEC.
The exclamation point in the swamp. Carolina is going to Atlanta.
To celebrate, 107.5 The Game is putting together the top 30 Gamecock football players from the last 30 years.
Cooper running left side, now flipping it back to Ellington, throwing for Connor, into the end zone, caught. Touchdown, Carolina.
And you can help. Just go to 1075thegame.com or download our app and click on the voting form and fill out your top 30. Yep, it's that simple. Then starting in June, we'll count down the top 30.
Clowney just burst through, ripped the helmet off the tailback, and took it away.
The top 30 Gamecocks from the SEC.
Yeah, John. Yep. The whole staff will be back. Everybody. I mean, I don't think you want to lose the staff there. Definitely don't want to lose the staff. I mean, just you better go through what you got today, or what you've got, and let them try and figure it out. Don't need to make another staff change and see what happens, and then have an excuse in next off season of, well, we made a change and. It's actually the Gamecock soccer hat Coach Annan got for us. I like it. Under Armour hat, but There's the Gamecock soccer hat. There we go, Jen. Turn you back on. All right. Oh, wow. I didn't see this last night. Or when did this happen? Marion Barber passed away yesterday?
I did not see that.
Retired with the Bears. I didn't realize he retired with the Bears. Huh.
What the heck?
Huh. I got to admit, I finally signed up. They had that deal going for the Athletic for $1 a month for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of held out on signing up for the Athletic. So I finally signed up. I really need to get on here and read some of the stuff they've got and see if it's worth it. Excuse me. Initial thought is I kind of like the website. I don't know if any of y'all subscribe to the Athletic and use that, but yeah, thank you. I kind of like this one. Good little hat.
Yeah, Tony hooked us up. That was awesome.
Yeah,
I've worn mine.
I thought it was Chad Callett, but I heard somebody say it differently. I think it was Kip Bulknight, but I don't know if he's the problem. I think you just got to get better hitters, man. I mean, I don't think it's the hitting. The hitting coach is supposed to be pretty well thought of. He was in the mix for some head coaching jobs. I think it's a talent thing. You just got to get better players. I mean, what was Hope's homework assignment, or was it my homework assignment? I thought it was mine. What for tomorrow?
Oh, for the Friday, figuring out movies.
Yeah, the 380s movies you have had to have seen,
or that are must-see movies.
I think I don't know if it's even must see. That implies that you need to see it. This is 380s movies that you better almost have seen. I'm not going to probably seen 2 of them, so I fall out of that category. But yeah, 380s.
You really should have seen. Okay.
Like, what's wrong with you if you didn't see them? And I'm setting myself up for failure already. But
yeah, pretty much. So you'll basically be failing on that with your manicure, or with your nails. So if you want to flip somebody off, you really will lose a lot of leverage for the next few days.
Well, yeah, and so I think I'm going to the soccer team pool party with Austin on Saturday, so I should stand out. Well, if not, I'll be on the lake in the boat, so that should go well.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's true, John. Recruiting falls. That I agree with, but that's why I don't think you necessarily make the change there. All right, we're back.
.6:35 on a Thursday morning, June the 2nd. Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, Patrick Brett will be along here in just a short while, running a little bit behind this morning. We think he was just terrified of accidentally maybe getting some nail polish on him, but I think we've assured him that he can make it in studio, Jen, and that he will not be affected by the green Piggy Paint nail polish that you have purchased. Natural as mud, non-toxic, low odor, kid friendly.
I didn't want it
Good.
to be, I didn't want there to be toxins and such. I was looking out for your health.
Totally understand.
Uh-huh.
Totally understand. As Patrick Pratt makes his way in again, he of very big concern that I think he was going to be facing the nail polish later this morning. We'll do that about 8 a.m. And I will have some nice, pretty green nails for the Celtics Warrior series tonight. We've been talking about that this morning. I'm kind of interested in your take on, does this mean anything for the Golden State Warrior legacy? If they are to win this series, Golden State would end up winning their 4th championship in 7 years. Pretty strong run there for them if they're able to pull that off. And I think it's something that raises the question of where do you put them in terms of dynasties? Look, the Chicago Bulls, the Celtics, years and years and years ago. But then, you all right over there, buddy? Rough morning so far for you. You just throwing your computer around.
I was pulling my computer out, and the bottom half of my charger got caught up in my backpack strap.
Patrick Pratt is in studio with us now. We'll let him get set up and join along for the fun. But yeah, again, this would be, I guess, technically the 7th NBA champion, or it would be the 5th NBA championship for Golden State. They also have one in 1947 and 1956. As well, but they have 4 NBA championships, I believe, 75, 2015, 2017, and 2018. So this would be the 4th, though, in 7 years, and that's why I think it raises the question of, all right, where do you put them in terms of of dynasty talk? Because I think I would take them over the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs were, again, a really good franchise, and if you matched up Ginobili, Parker, and Tim Duncan with Draymond Green, with Klay Thompson, and with Steph Curry, I think I'm going with Golden State.
Only one you'd take head to head is Tim Duncan over Draymond.
Yes.
Right. Klay's better than.
Are you taking Popovich over Steve Kerr?
No. I am taking Popovich over Steve Kerr. Yes, I'm not taking Steve Kerr over them. I don't know how much credit to give Steve Kerr.
Okay, the Spurs dynasty, so to speak, they won 5 over the course of 15 years. 5 over 15 years.
Also, their last one, that big 3, none of them were the best player. It was Kawhi.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that was in 2014. But you did have 4 within an 8-year span, 99, 2003, 2005, 2007. And that's why I think it's interesting to compare the Warriors to those Spurs, because those are very relevant dynasties when you talk about it. Whatever the Miami Heat did with LeBron and Bosh and Wade, that's not a dynasty. That's putting together a superstar team and winning.
That's why I like this team, because they were built with value picks. Like, anyone in the league could have drafted Draymond Green. Klay Thompson was back half of the lottery pick, I think. I don't even know if he was a lottery. I want to say he was almost like 18 or something like that, but a middle of the round, first round pick. And then Steph was a top 10 pick. But yeah, they built that team. That's why people didn't like when KD came, because he wasn't
even a first round pick.
Klay wasn't a first round pick?
Draymond.
Draymond wasn't, but
okay.
Klay I think was like somewhere in the teens, and I don't know if it was lottery or end of the lottery.
Okay, yeah. Klay Thompson, who will be 33 next year, so he's got a few years, was the 11th pick in the first round. So just falls into the lottery. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right, and that's what makes it so entertaining. And on the flip side of that, you're right. Boston, also a team built through the draft. Certainly some free agents there, but Tatum, Brown, big parts of that franchise that were built through the draft.
Yeah, Marcus Smart was drafted by them.
Okay.
But they were terrible for a long time and had multiple top 5 picks. I think Jalen Brown was the number 2 pick and Tatum was the number 3 pick or something like that.
I think might have it
around.
Backwards, yeah, but one of the ways. But it should be a lot of fun in that series this coming over the next week and a half. They'll get it going again tonight. 9:00 is where that'll go. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. Who are you taking in this? Ron from Lake Marion, and I want to look this up, says, how many championships does Kerr have as a player and as a coach? He's getting in rarefied NBA air. He's got to be up there. That was a good question. I was going to look that up. Do we know Steve Kerr? I don't, off the top of my head, I think he's got 2,
as a player?
Yeah, I'll have to
He's
go.
got 5.
He's got. Well, I was going to say it was 2 with. It was 2 with the Bulls, I believe. Am I right on that? 2 with the Bulls, and then
yeah. So it was 2.
got-
He won 4 in a row: 96, 97,
okay,
98,
he's
and
got
99.
4 with the Bulls and 1 with the Spurs.
But I don't the Spurs. Did the Spurs won in 99?
Yeah. Okay.
So he
3.
won 3 in a row with the Bulls, and then his first year out of Chicago, he won the championship with the Spurs.
That's right.
That's awesome.
So 5 as a player, 3 as a coach. He's going for now his 9th NBA championship. Ron from Lake Marion's right. He is definitely entering some rarefied air. Richard also asking, wasn't Kerr on one of those championship teams for the Spurs? He was on 2 of them, actually 99 and 2005. 2003. 803-404-6100. A lot of numbers there. 803-404-6100. We'll wrap up our number 1, get into a little bit of football discussion again. Jalen Brooks back with the South Carolina football team. I'll get Patrick's take on that. Just depth-wise, what it means. And I'll ask you, we'll get back into this a little bit as we talk wide receivers. Remember, you can go to 1075thegame.com and vote the top 30 players for South Carolina of the SEC era. We'll talk about the wide receiver group that we've got down here that you can choose from and get your take and your memories on some of these wide receivers. You're listening to the early game on 1075 The Game.
The Halftime Show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game.
Getting up each and every morning, coming in here ready to go, fired up, all for a great day of sports talk radio. Well, to do so, you need a great night of sleep. And with a Sleep Number bed, that's exactly what I get. Put that Sleep Number setting on 45, and I'll wake up rested, refreshed, and ready to go each and every morning. And then people ask, why choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? And I tell them because every great day starts the night before. And it's time for Sleep Number's Memorial Day sale. Going on now. Still, you can save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed Queen. Now, only $1,999 for a limited time. 2 Sleep Number stores to choose from. One in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia. 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can always visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Again, the Memorial Day sale still going on. You can save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed Queen. Now only $1,999, but for a limited time. So get to one of those 2 Sleep Number stores or visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
No accidents to report right now. Hope it stays that way for your Thursday morning commute. And your forecast, it is looking like a hot
Just one
and humid
RL.
day, and then we could see some storms tomorrow. But this weekend, maybe not quite as
Yeah,
humid.
we're on that 2003
Today's high
team.
98, 89 tomorrow with those afternoon and evening storms.
Can you hear me?
Starting off strong, though, it's 77 at 1075 The Game. Sorry, it's a short one.
Eight zero 6100 If you want to weigh in. Dennis saying, please verify that this will be the Warriors' 5th NBA Finals appearance in the last 7 years. Thanks. Maybe you can do a Lucky Charm commercial with the green fingernails, Mr. Gunner. Yes. And then I believe Dennis is picking the Warriors. I'm not sure if he's telling me to pick the Warriors, but yeah. And then I like this. This is an interesting text, Patrick. Says, I don't think you can count Golden State as a dynasty because they only won 1 title without Kevin Durant, and they probably don't win that one if Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love aren't injured.
No. They probably beat LeBron if they don't randomly suspend Draymond Green for Game 6 and allow the Cavaliers to come back into the series and force it to Game 7 in Cleveland.
Was the Cavs down 3-1 or 3-0?
3-1.
They were down 3-1?
Yeah, and Draymond got suspended, and then he came back. And then it was game 7, a winner-take-all game, and everything was written in the stars and set up for the Cavs to win that. So, yeah, they're, of course, a dynasty.
Do they have to win this one?
Who are they?
Does Golden State have to win?
Why does it matter that Kevin Durant was on the team or not?
No, wait. Does Golden State have to win this one to be considered? Where do we draw the dynasty line?
No, they're a dynasty. No, they're three dynasty. 3 is a dynasty.
3 is a dynasty?
3 is a dynasty.
Okay.
They are already a dynasty. The only thing this does is cement all 3 of their legacies even further. And I think it puts Clay and Draymond firmly in the Hall of Fame as well.
Well, and I think to the point about being a dynasty, because those 3 have stayed together. Yes, you've had parts come in and out. Obviously, look, one of the big parts of this series is going to be a guy who was a former number 1 pick, who I guess you could label a bust. I guess was Wiggins.
LeBron traded him,
huh?
LeBron traded him.
Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
I mean,
LeBron traded him for Kevin Love.
People forget Andrew Wiggins was the number 1 pick in the 2014 draft, and I guess he's not necessarily lived up to.
Well, in
number
hindsight,
1.
his teammate was a lot better than him.
Which one was that?
That was Joel Embiid.
That's true. I forgot about that. Yes,
Yeah.
but I guess to the point here is he's going to be a big part of this series. So yes, Kevin Durant obviously is a superstar, much better than Andrew Wiggins, but Wiggins versus Tatum is going to be
because someone texted yesterday saying Draymond is going to lock down Tatum, and I was thinking, no, Draymond's going to have to guard Al Horford.
Yeah, that's who you put on him.
Wiggins and Otto Porter are both probably capable enough to guard Jason Tatum, but Clay's also a great defender.
He is, but it's going to be Wiggins. You don't want Clay. Clay, you're asking for offense and some defense, but you're asking for offense, and you don't want Clay chasing around Jason Tatum all night and wearing himself out. Andrew Wiggins, all right, give us 12, 14 points, but your responsibility is to keep Jason Tatum from exploding for 25 plus.
Well, and that's why that's why I don't think he's a bust, and that's why he was the number 1 pick too, is because the athleticism was off the charts. He was still raw offensively, but that was always the narrative around him, is like day 1, he may not be a 20-point per game guy, but he's going to be one of the best perimeter defenders in the league from the day he steps on the court in the NBA. And he's been elite defensively his whole career. So that's why I like the Warriors partly too.
More entertaining match. I'm assuming Marcus Smart will draw Steph Curry. And Smart is a very, maybe it's just because we don't watch enough NBA. I was going to say a very underrated defender. Maybe he gets all the love he deserves, but Marcus Smart's a very, very good defender. And I know Jimmy Butler was able to go for 47 and have all these ridiculous games against him, but Marcus Smart did a good job. And it's hard to say how healthy Marcus Smart is with that ankle, but you assume Smart's going to get the role of guarding Steph Curry. So you've got Smart for the Celtics guarding Curry. You've got Wiggins for the Warriors guarding Tatum. Which one is the bigger matchup there? I think I'm taking Wiggins. Wiggins has got to, if you can shut down Tatum, I think you really put the Celtics offense in a bind.
I would agree generally, because like no matter what, the Celtics are going to get theirs in the paint because they're just bigger. Like there's not really a matchup for Horford and Robert Williams, so they will get some easy points in the paint. If Jason Tatum can be held in check, though, that's going to be huge. And I mean, maybe there will be a game where Jalen Brown just goes crazy, but in large part, when it's crunch time, like the ball's always in Jason Tatum's hands. And that's why the criticisms of him, like kind of disappearing for stretches, is fair, because there have been full quarters where he hasn't scored a point, but then he'll come out in the fourth quarter and he'll just knock down really tough shots in crunch time. And he's done that with hands in his face all playoffs long against elite players. So both those guys are going to have a hard time. Marcus Smart, like we've seen elite guys play phenomenal defense on Steph Curry, and he just makes shots that you're not supposed to make. And Jason Tatum's been doing the same thing. So, I mean, it's going to be ridiculous assignments. That's kind of where the NBA is at. People say there's no defense, but really the shot making ability is just off the charts at this point, because when Steph does a fadeaway 3 from 5 feet behind the 3-point line with a step back, like there's some things he does that you just can't defend.
And Smart was named the NBA defense. I said he was underrated, but that's just because I don't know if people talk about him. He was the NBA.
He's underrated because he doesn't score like that.
Okay, so
I think he's just, people don't like to give credit to guys that make their living off of defense.
Does this series end up being, because we just talked about Wiggins and you talked about him being one of the best perimeter defenders, We know Draymond Green was
I think
upset.
Draymond is like a bigger version of Marcus Smart. They're both just pests on
Yeah,
defense, and they bother people.
And Draymond Green was upset that he wasn't named to the first team All NBA defensive team. It's interesting though. But you got Smart, who was the defensive player of the year. We just talked about Wiggins being one of the best perimeter defenders. It's interesting in this series where I feel like we should expect a lot of points, but maybe you see games maybe closer because you got so many good defensive players closer to the 90s. I say the low 90s than you do going over 100.
It's possible. I mean, and that could be. I feel like that would be early in the series too, because maybe there is an element of the Celtics having nerves. It is just a totally different stage for all those guys, and they are young. And that what was it? Was it game 7? Was it game 7 of the Heat Celtics where it was the lowest scoring first quarter in Eastern Conference Finals history? I think it was. It was like they were on pace. They were on pace for the score to be like 78-75. So we've seen that the Celtics are, by all the metrics, the best defensive team in the NBA. So if they can just make it difficult and the Warriors can't really get hot, then it's quite possible that will be the case. But the Warriors get hot for 5 minutes and they're going to put 15 points on the board, and you're gonna blink and you're gonna say, okay, well they were just down 6 and now they're up by 10. Like it just happens that way. There's just explosions from them that no team has ever been able to do.
We'll continue getting into this morning. Certainly the NBA Finals tonight. We'll get some picks on that if you want to weigh in. 803-404-6100. But we probably should give a little bit of love to the Queen's Jubilee. Did you see Jerry weighing in? You two paid attention to what's going on over in England?
Oh, I'm pumped.
Are you now?
Yeah. Oh, I've loved following the royal family. Mm-hmm.
What is it?
And for a long time.
Apparently they're having a big party. She's been on the throne for 70 years. I guess today.
Isn't she like
celebrating 70 years? I don't know if it's officially today or not.
Isn't she like pretty much, I don't want to be like careless or insensitive, but isn't she like pretty much dead?
No, I mean, she's I think starting to her mobility. It sounds like maybe is failing. I mean, she's
I thought
96.
Prince What's His Face just did an appearance like in her place recently because she's just kind of like on her way out.
Wait a minute. Can we get an official title on Prince What's His Face?
Is it Prince William?
Prince Charles.
Prince Charles.
That's her son.
William is the one that's married to Kate.
Correct, and that is Charles.
Oh man, the Queen's 96.
Yeah, I think
she just turned 90. She turned 96
like,
back on April 21st.
I don't know. I wonder too, if she's been pretty strong for the most part, but I think, she lost her husband last year, and I just almost feel like I wonder if, kind of a broken heart.
Jubilee will brighten her spirits. What happened to the Jubilee?
I don't
Music
know.
festival?
It's days of
during the break.
year.
Maybe you can get it on. I don't.
Is Ed Sheeran playing?
It's a good question. I don't
You
know.
would think so.
Thousands of people are gathering in central London for the Jubilee celebrations, which began at 5 a.m. Eastern time with the Queen's birthday parade, which is about a month and a half late. What I'm looking at.
Jump out of a giant cake.
Correct.
Her birthday was April 21st.
They do it later just because of weather. That's typically
of course,
the reason. Mm-hmm.
That's
if you're gonna have a big celebration, you need the weather to be good.
Mm-hmm. So April. So can we just officially make her birthday June 2nd and not April 21st?
No, I don't think officially. Birth certificates and all.
The Queen and members of the royal family will then make their customary balcony appearance before the event closes with a fly past over the palace.
That's pretty cool.
There you go.
Basically like a flyover to one of our events, but the Royal Air Force, I guess.
They fly past. So there you go. There you go, Jerry. We've got your coverage of the Queen's Jubilee. Prince What's His Face is out there
sounds like
doing something and
with his wife, Camilla.
Oh boy. Wait,
who's
what?
Camilla? I didn't even know he was.
Oh wait, that's the one that married the
he was cheating on her.
Diana's
Well, he was cheating on Diana with Camilla.
Who is this Camilla character?
Camilla Parker Bowles.
Is she Princess Camilla?
No. Don't call her that.
Camilla Parker Bowles.
Yeah.
The Duchess of Cornwall.
Correct.
There you go. There you go. We got you covered, Jerry. We got it completely covered.
That birthday party sounds like it sucks. I'm going to be honest.
The country's involved. Somebody's got to be having a good time. The whole country's involved. They're all there. They're all in the.
They need to get one of the big British rockers out there to sing happy birthday to her. That'd be cool.
It
Who's
was-
your favorite British rock band?
Paul McCarthy's apparently put out a picture of he
Paul
and the Queen.
McCarthy?
Yeah, he's got a picture of he and the Queen. That was part of the updates.
Paul McCarthy.
McCartney.
Yeah.
Oh, his cousin
Jen
Paul.
is not paying attention right now. I'm glad she didn't hear that.
His cousin Paul McCarthy also put out a picture, but Paul McCartney has put out a picture of him. And so, yeah, a lot going on today.
Paul McCartney, Bart Starr.
Just
like 22,000 people going to that
George
concert,
Harris.
man.
All right. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on the Queen's Jubilee. Yes, Charles on our text line. NBA talk followed by the royal family. I hate I have to go into work. We got you covered. We got you covered with pretty much everything this morning. You want to weigh in 803-404-6100 coming up at 8 a.m. Jen, I think, comes in here and paints my nails Celtic green to pay off the Celtics Heat bet. Coming up at 8:40, we will talk a little NASCAR with our buddy Kerry Tharp and get you some updates on this weekend's race in Madison, Illinois, Jen, at Worldwide Tech Raceway. Of course, everybody well aware of that. So we got a lot to get into this morning. I want to get back into some football talk. Jalen Brooks back with the South Carolina football team. It's not huge news for Jalen Brooks, but I think it's good news for South Carolina football. We'll talk about why. It's the early game. 107.5 the game.
Ooh. This is what I want to know. What's the difference between a Jubilee and a Jamboree?
Rednecks.
Go to which one? Jamborees?
I would think so.
I guess because the Queen has a Jubilee.
When I hear the word jamboree, I just think of like Chuck E. Cheese. Are there banjos at a jamboree?
It's time. Ooh. I just Googled the difference between a Jubilee and a Jamboree. Not really any answers.
I believe a Jamboree involves
Apparently,
a whiskey bottle that you blow into.
well, there's multiple definitions. The first one, a large festive gathering. The second one is a national camping assembly of Boy Scouts.
There you go. Definitely not what the British are doing.
Oh, what? I'm frozen. No.
You just turning your mic on then?
No. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, wait, where we at? We gotta turn something off.
Oh, yeah. I got frozen. I had to restart myself.
I gotcha. We're probably almost back. Kind of crazy. Yeah, I really wanted to. God, the Lightning got crushed last night. Hour number 2 of the early game. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. We've covered South Carolina football. Jalen Brooks is back with the South Carolina football team. What does that mean? We'll kind of get into that this hour. We've covered Golden State Warriors and Boston Celtics tonight. The NBA championship gets going. I think we've decided on officially Golden State has a dynasty, and tonight would just add to it. So if they are able to win another championship, that would be something that would certainly continue to enhance their legacy. It would be their 4th NBA championship in 7 years. It is their 5th appearance in the championship in the last 7 years. 3-1 so far. That one loss, as you mentioned, Patrick, you thought NBA kind of stole from them when they suspended Draymond Green.
Yeah.
In Game 6 against the Cavs and opened the door
that's
for
where people started to really. That's where Aisha Curry tweeted, "NBA is rigged."
Gotcha. Okay, there you go.
Some hot water.
So yeah, so the Warriors winners in 2015, 2017, and 2018 will be going for their 4th NBA championship. That series will get underway. So we've covered that. We'll continue to cover that, and we covered the Queen's Jubilee, which you guys broke down a little bit on the live stream during the break, trying to get the definition of Jubilee and Jamboree to make sure that we were not messing up anything. Did we get to the bottom of Jubilee versus Jamboree?
I think we just decided that Jubilee is a classier Jamboree.
Okay, there you go, kids. So if you want to have a fancy birthday party from now on, you should have a Jubilee. That's what we should be having each and every time you turn another year older. You don't need a birthday party. You need a Jubilee to celebrate. So as you head to school on your final day, a lot of you final day of school for the year, congratulations on hopefully moving to another grade or graduating. If you're doing that, go out there and enjoy a half day. So we got plenty to get into this hour. Another thing we'll get into is this top 30 the top 30 players for the Gamecocks over the last 30 years in the SEC. We'll get back into that. The wide receiver position, Patrick, has got a lot of interesting names, and it'll be a trip down memory lane for some people. So we'll discuss that this hour as well. A few other things to get to. Yesterday, the New York Rangers, Patrick, they were the underdog last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but they absolutely thumped the Lightning last night 6-2. And New York had a better record by 1 game during the regular season than Tampa, but Tampa's played really well. New York is red hot right now. That was their 7th consecutive home victory at MSG last night in the playoffs. And I watched, they looked like the better team coming off a 7-game series, back-to-back 7-game series, by the way. They were coming off wins over Pittsburgh and then the Carolina Hurricanes. They looked like the better team last night. I don't know if that was rust. I didn't think Tampa Bay looked all that rusty. I thought Tampa Bay looked good. I thought New York looked better. I don't know how much of that you got to actually watch.
I don't like it. They look way too good right now. And the Rangers were also they're a good team, but they were not supposed to be Stanley Cup good. They were supposed to be sort of, this is your early playoff run where you get bounced and then you come back as a contender in a couple of years because they're still young. Like Shesterkin, their goalie, is only 26. Adam Fox is one of the best D-men in the league. He's only 24. Panarin is their star. He's 30, but Alexis Lafreniere, their top draft pick from a couple years ago, is 20 years old. They were not supposed to be this good this quick, and I don't like it. I will never cheer for a New York team ever, except for Buffalo, because I don't consider them New York.
Okay. Real quick, let me correct myself. Josh weighs in on the text line and points out, and I forgot. I know why I blocked this out. I forgot about Golden State losing to Toronto and Kawhi Leonard.
We talked about that yesterday.
I'll tell you, because I argued with Pearson Fowler on this, there was a 12-1 program that we would do in Pearson, and I was adamant that Toronto didn't have a chance. Absolutely beyond adamant, and Pearson was right, and I was just very strong in my opinion that Toronto. So Josh, thank you. That is exactly why I've blocked that out, as I was so wrong about that series.
Well, you wouldn't have blocked it out if it was anything other than Kawhi Leonard.
True.
Everyone always forgets about Kawhi Leonard. And because he didn't play this year, we start talking about top fives, and everyone's saying, all right, top 5 is Luka, Jason Tatum, yada, yada. Nobody puts Kawhi in there. But who's going to be surprised when Kawhi just quietly comes back next year and has an MVP-like season?
I will.
Why?
I think the injuries,
after that Toronto championship, everyone pretty much just agreed, okay, he's the best player in the world.
He was, and that's why there was such a fight by the Clippers. That's why it was such a big deal that he went to the Clippers, not the Lakers, or going back to Toronto. And Kawhi's young, by the way. He'll be 31 at the end of this month. Like, he's still. We talk about Curry's getting older, and I think he's 33 or 34. We just pointed out Klay Thompson's 32. You talk about these guys. Kawhi Leonard is still it feels like he's been in the league for a million years. I'm pretty sure he was part of that Spurs dynasty in 1999 as, like an 11-year-old. But the bottom line is he's only 30 years old. He'll be 31 this month. But I really don't know if he can. It seems like he's got some kind of major knee injury that's just going to limit who he is as a player. Because now, like I said, he's 30. And 2 years ago, he had to rest. He had to limit his minutes, limit games. Last year, not this past year, but last year, he was limited again. And then this past year, you talk about him not even playing. I don't know. It just feels like Kawhi Leonard's injury situation is going to catch up with him and not allow him to be a peak performer for a very long period of time. Was he the MVP, though, of 2014 for the Spurs?
Yeah.
Was he the MVP of the game? Not just like us talking about it.
I think he's a 2-time Finals MVP of 2 different teams. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. So he's a 2-time champion. And I'll look real quick and see if he was actually the MVP of that 2014. He was. Yeah, he was the 2014 Finals
There's
MVP.
A very short list of people that have been the Finals MVP on 2 different teams.
Do you have that, or you just?
No, I just remember that being a storyline of Kawhi just quietly put together one of the great 5-year runs and is quietly one of the best players of all time. And the only thing we know about him is that he laughs weird.
I think we all just think he is weird.
He might be, but he's just a quiet dude. He just does not like attention.
803-404-6100. Some news yesterday out of Destin, Florida, and I don't know if it's good news or bad news, Patrick. There's now a divide on SEC scheduling. Some teams wanting to shift to the 9-game conference schedule, some wanting to stay with 8, and it doesn't appear, at least as of yesterday afternoon, that this will get determined this week. Greg Sankey saying yesterday, we've got more work to do on this. He said wait till Friday, but coaches, if I understood correctly, I don't know how exactly it works. Coaches left yesterday. So I'm guessing it's the athletic directors that vote, but I don't know if athletic directors are down there I don't know if it's like going to a healthcare conference where you're there all week, or if Ray Tanner's, can just catch a couple meetings and then bolt back to class. I'm not real sure. I've never really thought to ask how those things work in terms of are you there, Tuesday through Friday? Do you show up for your portion? Again, coaches were there Tuesday and Wednesday and left yesterday afternoon to go back home. But right now, what we know is divisions are done. And it appeared in some ways that you might be heading
divisions are done, but there's still division within the ranks.
They're very good. Look at you this morning. Very sharp coming in and being able to.
Well, Shane Beamer's definitely South Carolina is definitely anti 9-game schedule, right? They're definitely on that side of it. I would bet anything. He kind of insinuated it in some of his comments, where he said it's going to make it tougher on us.
Well, it will.
Play Clemson.
It will,
but it will make it tougher on everybody.
It will, but I also think that you have to look down the line here at where we think college football is going from a scheduling standpoint. Are you going to be frowned upon more if you play an FCS team?
Are you talking about from a scheduling standpoint, meaning the postseason?
Let's go past 2025, and let's assume for a second here that Greg Sankey is going to ram down a 12-team college football playoff down the throats of the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac. Let's just for a second assume that's going to happen, right? That's going to happen. Then all of a sudden it opens up to strength of schedule arguments once you get past the conference champions. And at that point, does playing the FCS schools, is it gone? Or do they do away with that? And then do you look at more of a model where you're only playing the Power 5 schools because, even though you're scheduling a Kansas, which stinks, or somebody's out there scheduling a Vanderbilt, or you're playing Power 5 schools, because then you could say, well, hey, look, at least we played Kansas. We didn't play Kansas, whatever it is, Missouri, Kansas, whatever KC. What is that? Missouri, Kansas City, I think. I don't even know if they've got a football program.
Kansas Tech,
Yeah, you're not playing. But I guess that's my
Kansas
point.
A&M.
Yeah. Does that, and that's why I say, like, if you're pro 9-game schedule, you got Clemson. South Carolina would have Clemson, but then how much freedom do you want? More freedom to schedule 3 non-conference opponents or 2? Do you like playing? Do you want to say, well, all right, we'll schedule North Carolina and Duke, Virginia and Wake Forest? I'm hypotheticals here, but I think that's where I wonder what's the difference. Where do you get with the 8 and 9-game conference schedule? Because 8 obviously would leave you 3 random regional games: Miami, Virginia Tech. Discussions about West Virginia being on the schedule at some point in the future. Obviously, games we've seen against where they got, I think, another one against North Carolina State potentially lined or maybe lined up already. So I guess that's my question: is where do you see scheduling going overall post 2025? Do you still see games against Eastern Illinois and South Carolina State and games like that? Jay Phillips, by the way, absolutely hates those games. I personally have zero problem with them because I think they're great for fans. It gives in an era of the ticket prices are absolutely through the roof. Those tickets are down. They're easier to obtain. If you want to take your family of 4 or 6 or 8, whatever people are doing out there these days with their families, like if you want to take that and you want to go to a football game, those games are actually affordable. Like the tickets are cheap. You can get tickets outside the gate for $20, for $15. People standing around because they don't want to go. So I actually, in terms of getting fans to the game and being able to enjoy the college football game experience, those are the best ones to go to because, Patrick, when Georgia comes in here on September 17th, tickets are going to be $100. You can't take a family of 4 and do the whole thing for $400 plus parking, plus the food, plus all the expenses that go with it.
No one feels stronger about any issue in sports than Jay Phillips feels about that. Anyone who's listened to this station for 5 minutes probably knows Jay's stance on that. I get upset every time it comes up because I'm just like, all right, here it comes, and I just brace myself for the rant. I feel like I've done, I don't know, maybe like a dozen shows with him just filled in throughout the years, and pretty much every other one that rant comes out, and he's got it down. He's got all of his points memorized and ready to go. He despises the FCS games.
How do you feel about him?
I could take them or leave them. Like, really, I don't care. Do I want an easy win? Sure. Is it nice to sometimes know that, hey, if I need to go and do something on a Saturday, like I'll just watch it on my phone or I'll record it and then I'll come back and watch it and not feel like I need to be pressed against the TV and analyzing every single play, and I'll have to rewatch it on Sunday so I know what to talk about. And no, sometimes it's nice to just have those days. I'll never go to one of those games because I just don't care.
You will. And I'll tell you when you will. You'll go when you have a kid.
Maybe, yeah.
But because those are the easy, like, when I was growing up, South Carolina played Appalachian State, who at that time was an FCS or Division II or whatever it was back in the 80s when I was 5, 6. Like I remember South Carolina playing Western Carolina and Appalachian State, and those were the games I got to go to because guess what? You don't have people getting tanked in the parking lot.
That's probably going to be true going forward. But I also like those games because I like to watch those games at bars as well because I don't feel like I need to have the volume on the South Carolina. If South Carolina's playing Tennessee, I'm going to feel like I need to have the volume on for no particular reason other than maybe like if I miss an explanation of a flag or something like that. But I just like having the volume on during big games. And if we're playing Northern Illinois or Eastern Illinois, I don't feel like I need to have the volume on.
I'm okay with the FCS games. I know, again, we know Jay Phillips is very anti that, but it does come to, are you willing to schedule those things in the future if there's a 12-team playoff? Because after the conference champions are put into the playoff, strength of schedule is going to determine, your next 6, 7 spots, however it works. We'll continue talking about that. We'll get into a few other things from SEC Media Day, get into these wide receivers, talk about the Jalen Brooks situation, and continue on with the Celtics and the Warriors. A lot to get to this morning. Coming up at 8:40, it's Kerry Tharp as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Yeah, we should be good.
There we go. All right. Yeah, RL. Kawhi Leonard definitely started the load management theory, and I guess that's another thing. I'm not sure. I get load management and whatnot, but that I just as a parent, you got to plan that out because like if you want to go see Kawhi and he's coming to Charlotte and you spend money on tickets and you drive up there and he's
Yep.
like, "Oh, I'm sitting out," you're like, "Dude."
Well, and Kawhi does not care. Like Kawhi doesn't care about the fans, not because he's like a jerk or anything. He just literally does not care. And if there's a kid wearing his jersey, I was like, Kawhi, why aren't you playing? He doesn't care.
No.
He doesn't have emotions.
Yeah, he does seem pretty emotionless.
I mean, you've seen the picture of him like frowning while he dunks. Have you ever seen that? It became a huge meme. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm just gonna Google Kawhi sad dunk, and I guarantee it's gonna pop up.
Well, there was the one. Was it when they? What was it they were doing for like the schools or something? And it was him and Paul George, and he's just sitting there, and he's slumped over, and he just looks miserable. Like,
Here, I need to zoom in. No, I don't know why I can't share the screen like that. Wait, can I? Oh, I can. Dang.
what do I need all over his hat? I'm gonna have to ask Tony Annan for a new hat already.
All right, I don't know if everyone can see this because you really need to be able to see his face, but this is the picture I'm talking about.
Ah, yes.
He's about to, he's gonna breakaway slam dunk, and he's just sad.
Oh, we're good for. I think I texted y'all that yesterday. We're good
Wednesday?
for Wednesday. Yeah.
It's at the stadium.
I'll go over. If you want to come over and meet me on Monday, like I said, I'll leave early to take Austin over there. I'll have Austin with me on Monday morning. And I'll leave here at like 8:15, 8:20 to run him over there. And if you want to just swing by, well, I mean, that's not really swinging by, but if you want to head over, you want to swing by.
The lounge is in the stadium.
I assume.
That's where they like have the locker rooms and practice and do all of their stuff. Is at that stadium? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really know that there was an inside.
I haven't been to a Hornets game in forever. I need to go next year.
I've never been.
Oh, it's been.
Never been in the Spectrum Center.
Yeah, I don't think I've been in their new arena. I don't. How long have they had it?
Where'd they used to play?
Like, I think it was. I think it was. Maybe it was just different. No, I think they had an older. What was the name of it?
Where was the location?
Time Warner Arena, I think, or.
Well, Time Warner was purchased by Spectrum, or became Spectrum, so that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, maybe it's the same arena. I thought they built a new one.
Hornets old arena. Charlotte Coliseum, Independence Arena,
Charlotte Coliseum.
From 55 to 88.
No.
Independence Arena from 93 to 2001. Cricket Arena.
I never really heard it. Independence. I'm trying to think. Where did they play?
Wait, this is Bojangles Coliseum.
Is that what it's called now?
No. They played the Spectrum Center, I thought. Bojangles Coliseum might be that's where the Checkers play. The Charlotte Checkers play.
It
I
was in the
believe.
90s, like early.
Yeah, this is not it.
Oh.
But this might be the same arena that they used to play in. Yeah, here you go. So from 2005 to 2015, no one played in the Bojangles Coliseum. And since 2015, the Charlotte Checkers have played there. But the Spectrum Center was opened.
Oh, yeah. Did you see that? I saw that on the Marion Barber passed away.
Yeah, crazy. Was he 38?
Yeah. Found him dead in his home. This is the 5th time we've played this old-timey clip in the last 15 days.
Which one is this?
It's the 5 home runs. Probably shouldn't complain. I'm going to get stuck like finding them. Reminder, you can go to 1075 The Game website. You can vote. There's a little tab at the top that you can track down, and you can vote there for the top 30 players for South Carolina of the SEC era. I think there's about 75 names on the list, and you can go and you can pick out your top 30. It's kind of difficult. Talked to a couple people who said, it's a little bit difficult to try and figure out. So you can go and do that. A lot of good wide receivers on that list. Zola Davis, Troy Williamson, Sidney Rice, Kenny McKinley, Alshon Jeffrey, Pharaoh Cooper, Debo Samuel, Brian Edwards, Shy Smith, Jamel Kelly, Ace Sanders, also tight ends, Andy Boyd, Jared Cook, and Hayden Hurst. So again, a lot of good names there, and you can pick and choose. If you want to choose all the wide receivers, you can go right ahead. Zola Davis, Troy Williamson, older wide receivers. Troy Williamson in school when I was there. Zola Davis prior to me being there. Zola Davis, Patrick, was one of my Sterling Sharp, Robert Brooks, guys that I remember. And then there was like Zola Davis back in the 90s. I think mid-90s for Zola, and really good wide receiver. Kind of didn't have the stats maybe that you thought he would end up having. But I tell you a guy who's left off of that list who went on to a good career, especially with the Bears, Marcus Robinson. People forget Marcus Robinson was a South Carolina wide receiver and had a couple monster games. I don't know what exactly. I have to look up and see what his career stats were, but Marcus Robinson went on to a really good NFL career and was a South Carolina Gamecock.
A really good NFL career?
I think it was a pretty good NFL career. I don't think it was a bad career.
I don't know much about his career.
I think it was more than a cup of tea. I remember him being a solid 43 receiving touchdowns.
He
played with the Bears from 97 to 2002, the Ravens in 2003.
Don't forget, he won the World Bowl.
Yeah, Rain Fire.
1998, won the World Bowl.
Yeah,
he was the NFL Europe MVP.
I mean, again, he played for South Carolina, had a relatively good career. I have to go back. He's one of the guys that at South Carolina, I feel like what you end up not remembering. He's kind of like a Jared Cook to me. Jared Cook's career at South Carolina,
but he's had quite a good NFL career.
Yeah. I mean, look, in 1999, Marcus Robinson with the Bears had 84 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 9 touchdowns.
Big year. What year was that?
99.
That's why I don't remember it.
Yeah, he good. I mean, after his rookie year in the NFL, he had 5 catches for 40 yards. After that, he never had a season in which he caught less than 20 passes. His worst season after that was his final year in Chicago, 21 receptions, 244 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He followed up his 84 catch season with a 55 catch season, 738 yards and 5 touchdowns. Marcus Robinson ended up, for his career, 325 receptions, 4,699 yards, and 43 touchdowns. Solid NFL career, and you're forgetting he's not on this list that you can go and vote. Maybe he should be, though.
Well, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, we're back. We're back. I'm back a little bit.
30 is an elite number.
I'm just saying he should be on the list.
Narrow it down. You're at there's 75, right? You said
there's 75 is what we have now. You can technically have write-in votes for that. Robinson's career at South Carolina, 4 years. Robinson at South Carolina, Patrick. This is I'm looking here at what he did. Interesting. 37 receptions in his career at South Carolina, 674 yards. You want to not that you remember Marcus Robinson. Just 2 touchdowns. So maybe his career, that's what I'm saying. Like at South Carolina, his senior year, 21 catches, 505 yards, and a touchdown. Like kind of a weird career at South Carolina, then goes on to have a very productive, solid NFL career. I guess maybe because of the stats from his time at South Carolina, not necessarily the player that you would put on there. But there was some news yesterday. This is why I was leading in with this. Some news yesterday as it pertains to South Carolina wide receivers. Jalen Brooks now back with South Carolina, confirmed by Tony Morrell, the Big Spur, Wes Mitchell, and Chris Clark of Own 3 Sports. He's back. And Patrick, I brought this up before you got here. I'm not saying that all of a sudden the wide receiving group, because Jalen Brooks goes from good to great or even average to good, but it does give you a guy with 25 career catches, 282 yards, and a touchdown. It gives you a guy with experience that comes in now, and you hope creates more competition in that wide receiving room and in fall camp, with guys knowing they need to improve themselves and get the most out of themselves.
Yeah, competition is really what it's going to be at this point, because I don't know, as far as him being a factor in terms of like the starting group or like the core rotation, I guess I don't really see what he brings to the table that no one else does. I mean, he's been pretty good, but I felt like he was hyped up.
Well, he was hyped up beyond belief
coming by Will Muschamp.
He was hyped up beyond belief coming out of during the transfer. You go back to last year, and he got suspended after the Tennessee game, Patrick, and he was not having a bad year. 14 catches last year, 181 yards is what he had as he was playing, and he was. I don't know if it's fair to say he was coming on, like finally starting to find his rhythm. But if you go back over the last 4 games that he was in, it was really when Luke Doty took over against Georgia. It was 3 receptions for 54 yards. Against Kentucky, 4 for 63. The game against Troy, he had 3 for 20. And against Tennessee, it was 3 for 26. So 3 catches, at least 3 catches in each of the last 4 games. And the reason I point all that out is it looked like he was becoming at least more of a consistent threat. You had the big game against Kentucky, 4 for 63 and a touchdown. But at least you were starting to see something maybe where they were more confident in him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty good player, but now you've added a player that you weren't really expecting to have on the team after losing E.J. Jenkins. And I think Jalen Brooks is better than E.J. Jenkins, but I think if you asked most people,
and
probably including myself, who would you rather have? I would have probably said E.J. Jenkins too, just because you know what the unique skill set that he offers you. And with E.J. Jenkins, it's not a skill set, it's just a size. It's a elite, unique size that can potentially be a factor in certain situations. And I just don't know what that one distinguishing thing that Jalen Brooks does is. I don't know what he does that's better than anyone else. I mean, he's pretty fast.
Yeah. He hasn't made the play.
Burner.
I think he had the
one-handed catch.
Yeah, he had the one-handed catch that stood out, but he hasn't made. The problem with Jalen Brooks is not Jalen Brooks. It's what you just said a minute ago. It was the hype that he got coming. That's unfair to him. Or maybe he did ask for it. Maybe he called up Will Muschamp. Was like, "I'm committed. Can you hype me up?
Start gassing me up, coach."
I mean, but that's not. Until we know otherwise, that's not his fault. Jalen Brooks has been a fine receiver. He's been okay. He's nothing better than okay. But you get him back, and he adds to the list.
I think the reaction to this has been fair. No one is getting out of control with it, saying we're going to score 50 points a game. It adds some competition and depth to the wide receiver room. It's a good thing.
803-404-6100. Richard weighing in. Sidney Rice, I would say, is the best receiver of all time, and Kenny McKinley, the best possession receiver. Seemed like Kenny was always open. Ace Sanders was most electrifying. I'm guessing Richard is doing that based on the 30 years here of not including Sterling Sharp and some of the guys there, Robert Brooks, prior to Sidney. Sidney was very good, and certainly when you go through this list, it's really interesting. We'll get into a few other things as well. The Duke's Mayo Bowl is on in front of us, and South Carolina just scored a few minutes ago to go up 25-10. I think we can give the update now that it's 6 months later.
I'm watching this game differently now, though. I'm kind of cheering against it because I want my quarterback to do well.
Oh, Sam Howell,
my boy.
Okay. Yeah, pull him.
They keep hitting him, and I don't like it.
I want to get. There's a player that for South Carolina that we're not talking about. An offensive player. You talk about Rattler. You talk about Marshawn Lloyd. You talk about all these receivers. This player, I want to get your opinion on how South Carolina utilizes him.
Does his name rhyme with Marion Brown?
No.
Okay, because you always bring up Marion Brown and say no one's talking about
him. I'm overhyping him.
You're a Marion Brown guy.
He called me up and wanted me to hype him up. I'm the reason that he hasn't lived up to the hype. That's my fault. But there's another player that I want to get your take on how you utilize him next year, because it feels like he's being overlooked with some additions to the roster, but he had a pretty good season last year. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. But there's a documentary on the making of The Godfather.
It's on Paramount Plus.
Oh, is it? Somebody told me
it's a I don't know how. It's not a documentary though. Like Miles Teller plays one of the characters. Miles Teller, who plays Goose's son in Top Gun.
What is my dad's talking about some documentary
About the making of The Godfather?
Yeah, and he says like
he probably was passing along information and something got it when
he was watching it. It was like he said that they were interviewing not Scorsese, but basically they were talking about how the mob wouldn't let him make the movie.
Maybe there's a separate documentary that I mean, the offer, that is all part of the offer.
There's a Godfather documentary on Netflix. Is this one, Destin?
All of those storylines are part of the show, The Offer, because I was actually looking at it last night, looking at the cast because I want to watch that thing soon, and all of the actual mobsters of the time, like Joe Gallo and Lucchese, and they're all being portrayed in that show.
I guess this is it. You're right, because my dad made it sound like it was like an actual.
Maybe he thought it was. He watched the whole show and just thought it was a documentary. Just got confused.
I don't know, like. So it's a movie, not, or it's a
show. It's a series. Oh yes. This weekend last weekend, girlfriend and I watched Under the Banner of Heaven, all 6 episodes, and the new one just came out. Wild series on Hulu. If anybody hasn't seen
What is
it,
it?
Under the Banner of Heaven is what it's called, starring Andrew Garfield, and he's a Mormon detective in Utah. And there was a mother and her child murdered. It's a true story, and he's like just going through the case, and basically it has like crazy roots to a fundamentalist Latter-day Saint group and like the crazy beliefs that they have. And
So basically, it's kind of like a real.
it's a true. There's the 2 guys that are the murderers are in jail now. Like I started reading a little bit about them, and
It's a documentary or a show?
it's a show. Yeah,
So
it's
kinda
based
like-
off a
sounds like-
true story.
Sounds like True Detective, but only real.
Yeah, that's
the initial
it. It's there. It is actually pretty similar to a True Detective storyline. Yeah, yeah. Danny, the final episode just came out, I guess last night or today, so I'm definitely gonna watch that today.
Danny's, under the morning, Carlton.
Yeah, I do. I think The Offer is the next I'm going to watch, though, because once I get Under the Banner of Heaven done, I can watch the 2 new episodes of Obi-Wan. I got another episode of Obi-Wan to watch today. And then I got to watch the new Harry Potter movie. I started watching the new Harry Potter movie yesterday.
Is it a new Harry Potter movie?
It's the Fantastic Beasts series.
But that Harry Potter's not in it.
No, it's a it's a prequel, sort of.
I got to get into the Apple dinosaur thing. Reminder, tomorrow you have homework. The 3 80s movies that you had to have seen. Now, I'm going to lose. Jen and I were talking about this in hour number 1. I'm going to lose on that one, Patrick, because like 2 of them I can pretty much get. Whatever. And I'm not saying that I don't even know what the list is, but tomorrow morning we will obviously discuss the Warriors and the Celtics. We'll talk a little college football tomorrow, and we will also get into the 3 80s movies based off of your Top Gun visit on Monday. Is that when you went, or Tuesday?
I went on Tuesday.
You went Tuesday after the show, and then the tweets that were out there, I think from Monday night, with me not having watched a ton of 80s movies. There's a lot of different genres there from which you're choosing from, because like you said, you've got would you call them the Brat Pack, which is basically the Breakfast Club and whatever else. St.
Elmo's Fire.
Yeah, you want to throw that one in there or whatever, and some of those. Then you got more of your
like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I mean,
y'all made me watch
awesome,
that.
cool. Yeah, but did you really watch it?
Well, I was doing a radio show at the time.
Tom Cruise's run, and I'm not even like a huge Tom Cruise fan, but Tom Cruise's run in the 80s was outrageous. Would you end at 1990 with Days of Thunder? But he went starting with The Outsiders. You ever see that?
Mm-mm.
The Outsiders, Risky Business, All the Right Moves, Top Gun, Color of Money, Cocktail, Young Guns, Rain Man, Born on the 4th of July. That is 9 bangers back to back to back to back. Those are all like smashes.
So he really does not have to work again.
No. Oh, no. He is, I mean, I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan. I don't think he's like a phenomenal actor or anything. And he's obviously a very weird guy. But, I mean, he's a movie star by every definition.
What was his first movie?
His first ever
79?
movie? 81, Endless Love. and then taps.
That's a pretty solid career, 41 years. I didn't do the math on that until you were just reading all those out of the 80s. 41 years for Tom Cruise is
That's crazy.
not a bad run at all.
No.
He's not taken more than 2 years off either. 3
Yeah,
years
he
off. I guess
doesn't
3
have
years
much
is
of
his
a
longest
life.
gap. His longest gap was between Jerry Maguire and Eyes Wide Shut. Also, that's another ridiculous. You just keep going from where I ended with Days of Thunder. You go A Few Good Men, The Firm, Interview with a Vampire, Mission Impossible, Jerry Maguire, Eyes Wide Shut. 6
Still
monster
solid.
hits. Like every one of his movies are just monsters.
Is that?
Maybe we should interview him. We'll get him on the show. I bet he'd love to come
Apparently,
visit
he
with us.
actually is like super gracious with the media too, is what I've heard.
Okay, well, that's good.
I
I
was
feel like
listening-
you're talking yourself into being a huge Tom Cruise fan as we're doing the segment.
I'm not going to
You
be
have
a huge
respect.
fan of a Scientologist.
You just
Yeah.
went through what, 15 consecutive movies?
Well,
nine
when you
in the
start
80s.
when you just start looking through his filmography, it's just pretty crazy.
All right, do this. Lauren.
Collateral, World of Worlds, Tropic Thunder was also great movie. He's got an underrated role in Tropic Thunder.
All right, wait a minute. Go back. The 15 you just, because Lauren on the live stream says, and Bill has seen none of them. Read off the 15 you just said.
All right. Outsiders?
No.
Risky Business?
Nope.
All the Right Moves? Top Gun?
No.
Color of Money? Cocktail?
Nope.
Young Guns?
Nope.
Rain Man?
Yep.
Born on the 4th of July?
Nope.
Days of Thunder?
Nope.
Few Good Men?
Yep.
Okay, good. I was actually gonna be upset about that one. The Firm?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Interview with
Why are you doing this?
Interview with a Vampire?
Yes.
Okay. Mission Impossible?
Yes.
Jerry Maguire?
Yes.
Eyes Wide Shut? No way.
Actually, yes.
Oh, really?
There's no way you liked that movie, right?
I didn't like it.
That movie was really weird.
Yeah.
I did not see it. So
So
I was doing
I-
crickets just because it was like crickets, like of ones that
Oh, yeah.
how much you haven't seen.
I got 9. I haven't seen 9 out of the 16 that Patrick just
well,
rattled off.
that could be worse. I mean, and my numbers are probably pretty close to yours on some of that.
Yeah, 9 out of the 6. Okay, so we're better. Yeah. So what we learned right there was
Cocktail's fun. You should watch
what
that.
we learned right there is, again, my 80s movie. So tomorrow your homework is, what are the 3 movies that I guess I need to watch this summer from the 80s? Like the 3 must-see 80s movies. I feel like a lot of you are going to go all in on Top Gun. And Lauren says, but none of the 80s. Yeah, 80s movies are not my jam. 803-404-6100.
Beverly Hills Cop.
We'll get to those. So he says, Bill, what did you watch as a kid? Well, you got to remember, I was 8 by the time the 90s came to a wrap, or the 80s came to a wrap.
Yeah, but again, Patrick has seen some of these because you know that some of these are just true classics that just were really part of a fun genre of movies. Oh yeah, have you seen Big with Tom Hanks?
Mhm.
Yeah, that
Seen
one's fun.
Didn't really care for it, but yeah, saw it. So 803-404-6100. We'll continue on. I do want to get into this. There's a South Carolina football player that I was watching in the bowl game. York on our text line knows exactly who it is. I will ask Patrick about that football player and how you think South Carolina will use them. And then coming up in 15 minutes, Jen, you got a plan? Does Patrick have to come in and run the board? Do you have somebody showing up? I'm not painting my own nails here.
I can try to help you do that. I'm not an expert, but I can at least make it. I'm pretty sure I painted more nails than Patrick. So
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, we got a text there saying Tom Cruise was not in Young Guns. Watch Young Guns again. He has a quick cameo. Gets shot off the roof in Young Guns. Not many people realize Tom Cruise was in Young Guns.
He's also been.
I didn't
in
name it the first.
Austin Powers
Yeah,
movie.
he is. Has a cameo in Austin
Gold
Powers.
member.
I didn't name it the first time. That's why we got to 16 the second time, because he's uncredited, but he was in Young Guns.
Okay, how about that? There you go.
His character was henchman shot off of roof.
There you go. Kids, you
Wow.
learn something new each and every morning. It might not be sports related and it might not be very useful in your everyday life, but we provide some kind of information each and every morning here on the early game. It's Bill Gunner, it's Patrick Pretton, it's Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
May not be useful, might not like it, might not care, but you will be provided with some sort of information on a daily basis. Oh, yeah. Did you see Christian Pulisic criticize the USA fans yesterday?
Still working an earlier accident, Kitty Drive.
The interviewer asked what was it like to be back in America playing in front of U.S. fans, and he said, I was actually pretty disappointed with the crowd, if I'm being honest. I mean, thank you to the people that were here. They're always great, but yeah, I thought the crowd was going to be better.
Where were they at yesterday?
Cincinnati.
What are the biggest soccer? So yesterday I watched, and I know it was a replay from some point. I don't know, but
In America?
Well, let me go back to where I was going with this, and this is why, because my mind instantly went to what I was watching. I know I was watching a replay yesterday. It was Charlotte FC versus Seattle FC or whatever. And so I was about to ask you, like, what is the biggest soccer cities in America? Is Seattle? Seattle's got to be.
The Portland Timbers have a rabid fan base. I think that the Pacific Northwest is big in soccer. Generally, hipster areas are pretty big in soccer. I think Kansas City is a rabid soccer town, and they always play games in Ohio. I think Ohio is usually a good soccer state. I think they really.
I was just wondering because
Columbus.
when you do the World Cup here, like it's kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, mostly they're going to get the major cities, but I do think Kansas City's going to have a shot. I know that Nashville's expecting to get one of the locations. They're pretty confident in their chances.
I don't know how to necessarily weave it into the show, and I don't really know where we would go with it. But you saw where David Tepper's real estate group or whatever filed bankruptcy yesterday. The only word, huh? What were you going to say, Jen?
I was going to say, with all the work that they've done, and on the interstate and everything, like, what's going to happen with all that?
It's going to be the bet. It's the new Bunkies.
Oh, they should put a Buc-ee's in there.
Oh my gosh.
Buc-ee's. Go ahead, make it a Buc-ee's.
Do you know, driving back from Indy on Monday, the line, I actually took a little video. They were off the interstate or onto the, I guess, backing up onto the interstate, trying to get off the exit to get to that Buc-ee's. It's like, okay, it's fun. It's neat.
Where was
I
that
heard
at?
their brisket sandwiches are amazing, but not worth that much time.
Where did you pass the Buc-ee's? Where did you pass the Buc-ee's?
Oh, Richmond, Kentucky.
Yeah. Went to a couple on my week in Texas.
Couple Buc-ee's.
I had the biggest roller coaster of a trip because I had a great breakfast brisket taco, and then as I was walking to the car, squeezed my coffee too tight and spilled hot coffee all over my hand and burnt the crap out of my hand. It actually had burns on my hand. It was brutal.
Oh wow, that's not good. Yeah, I counted. I don't know how many Buc-ee's are in Texas, but there's like
a million,
20 some.
Do you know what they pay to?
Yeah, they pay well. There's a documentary I was catching. That's the only reason I was aware of it is there was something on like the Travel Network or something one time I was flipping through, and that's when I started like watching it. That's why I learned all that wild information that I know that like there's two owners. One of them's the public guy, one of them's private, and they didn't want his name even on the like documentary. Like he didn't do it. There's the main one in Texas, and I forget where it's at, and they actually hired like a professional barbecue chef.
Yeah.
Like a world-class barbecue.
You have to go to
chef.
school and
not only does he cook, he cooks there, but he has like if you're going to be a barbecue chef at a Buc-ee's, so like the Florence one, whoever does the barbecue had to go there for 6 months and train under his tutelage.
But even just to run the cash register, whatever section, it starts like $18 to $20 an hour.
Yeah, I mean,
with 3 weeks of vacation from your first year.
Yeah, they treat
401k matching.
The guy was talking about how they take care of their.
It's crazy.
Wonder if I can move to Florence or commute.
You can commute.
We were talking about that. We were joking about that. When you joked about marriage, and we were like, "Why are we in the rat race? Why don't we just move to like the country of Texas, like somewhere in West Texas, work at a Buc-ee's for 6 hours a day, and just clean up and just
there you go,
cash $23 an hour checks, eat brisket every meal of the day."
You should probably go to the live stream if you want some. I can't carry everything over from the live stream back to the radio program.
Every time we finish up a conversation in the live stream, it is probably more entertaining than what we're about to start talking about on the radio.
Patrick's Jen, how did we go down that path with the Buckies? We got onto the Buckies
Because
conversation
you
again.
said the old Panthers practice facility that
Oh,
didn't get
yeah.
finished should just turn into
That's
a
it.
Buc-ee's.
Yeah, because they already they have the exit that they've been working on, building, and they already have
Mhm.
stuff. So yeah, just turn that into a Buc-ee's. That would be amazing.
I was trying to, and then that led Jen to, I was trying to figure out how to weave into the show, and I'm aside from just giving you the news that David Tepper's real estate group, whatever it necessarily is filed for bankruptcy after everything that went on with that particular property and everything up in Rock Hill. They've ended up having to, his real estate company filing for bankruptcy, which led you to say, or somebody go, well, what's going to happen to it? And I was like, well, just make it a Buc-ee's. And down the rabbit hole we went, and it ended. That's how it started, with an actual sports discussion and me trying to maybe figure out how to work in just the quick part of David Tepper's real estate company filing for bankruptcy, which is the final blow, according to some, to the Panthers Rock Hill project. It ended with Patrick suggesting that he and his girlfriend just move out to West Texas, live out in the country, and work at a Buc-ee's and clean up, because he started breaking down how much employees make at Buc-ee's.
Well, and the overnight shift, I think, because it starts at like $18 to $20 an hour. Management positions make like $25 an hour their first year, and then you get raises from there. You get 3 weeks of vacation, and the overnight shift, I think, gets $2 or $3 extra dollars an hour. So that's what we were saying. We're like, what are we even wasting our time doing?
And you know what? I just came up with a way to merge what we currently do, Bucky's Radio.
There you go.
We could start our own radio station, broadcast to all of them. There could be it could be sports, it could be sports segments, it could be music intensive with some sports. Oh my gosh. Guys, I gotta go. I got some work to do.
I already do the overnight thing anyway. I could just do it at Buc-ee's, drink coffee and eat brisket overnight, and then do the radio show. It would be a good life. And when we were talking about it, I was like, I will work in the jerky stand, you work in the fudge stand. We'll just be hanging out, work overnight. No one will be bothering us.
I'll be your
It'll
boss.
be so chill. We'll make $25 an hour. It'll be great. That's a good life.
No kidding. Lots of happy people, because most times, if you're on the road, there's people who travel for work, or,
Yeah.
drivers and stuff, but a lot of it seemed probably happy people. And then you can go, and while you're there, maybe you even get a discount. So you could get a discount on shopping for gifts. I mean, I saw in there you can buy bathing suits, you can buy
Everything, yeah.
kitchenware,
There's
you can-
actual
grills.
everything. There's a whole
Yeah.
section of like household appliances and cool
Clothes.
decorations,
Yeah.
picture frames, things like that. It's not all Buc-ee's branded either.
There's got to be a bridal registry there.
No one's ever sad inside of Buc-ee's either.
No.
Patrick could do 3 hours on the excitement of Buc-ee's. He is perked up
Considerably.
massively in the last 7 minutes.
It's a great place
because of Buc-ee's. And so anyway, you can go to the live stream and catch always entertaining off-air conversation. Go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click and subscribe. We beg of you. The Queen's Jubilee continues on. They're doing some big things over there in England. The military spectacle that is the trooping the color ceremony has continued over at the Horse Guards Parade.
Is this live on TV right now?
I don't know. You can check into it during the top of the hour there and find out. 803-404-6100 next hour. A, I'm going to get my fingernails painted. But B, I want to get into a conversation. Jalen Brooks back with the South Carolina football team. But as we were sitting here watching, and Patrick's about to change the channel, but as we were sitting here watching the Duke's Mayo Bowl that is currently airing on the SEC network, it got me thinking, Patrick, we talk about Marshawn Lloyd, Christian Bill Smith is back. We talk about these wide receivers, Juice Wells, Corey Rucker's now on campus. I want to ask you next hour, Juju McDowell. How in the world do you fit him in? Like, where does he fit in on this offense? Because last year, solid year. It wasn't phenomenal. He last year he had 52 rushes for 248 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had the big run in the bowl game. He also had 9 receptions last year for 53 yards. But he's kind of a playmaker, and he's a guy that I think gets lost in the shuffle when we talk about guys coming back.
He does. It's going to be a crowded room, and unfortunately, most likely where he's going to fit in is whenever somebody gets hurt. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
We'll talk about that. We'll get into that. Get the fingernails painted. Kerry Tharp coming up at 8:40 this morning. We'll get back into a little bit of discussion on South Carolina wide receivers. A couple of you weighing in on Sidney Rice. There's so much to talk about on a Thursday, June the 2nd. Hope you're doing well. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. Yeah, I would think that. Oh, she's out there. She doesn't really look 96, does she?
He looks older than she does. That's her son. It's Prince Charles right there to the left. What an outfit.
Is that what's the queen that we all like?
Kate? That's
Kate?
Kate Middleton, yeah.
And is that they got 2 kids now? The one picking his nose, wearing the little sailors thing.
He does look like a sailor. Oh,
Here's the official flyover.
That's the O2 Arena right there. Oh, yeah. Wait, where?
Oh, they got 3 kids now?
Oh, there's William.
Is the ones that is been
Harry? No.
Yeah, they're not allowed out there?
No. Kate's wearing white. Courtney.
Which old lady is that?
I have no idea.
Why did that kid get to wear a suit, but the other kid got dressed up like a sailor? And what's up with Kate's hat?
Well, that kid's going to be the king one day.
The kid with the tie?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, makes sense, I guess.
Eventually.
Oh, that's right, Robert. We're all over it. Queen's Jubilee. You get football talk.
It gets a little tied up, though, because that's the queen's son. He looks so old, as old as she does. And there is a chance that he's going to die before she does, and he'll never get to be king.
Wait, does she have to? Can he be king already, or can the queen's son not be king while she's the queen? Is that considered wrong?
Yeah, I think that's considered wrong.
Okay.
She's going to be queen for a million years. Then when she dies, he's going to be the king for like 2 years, and he's going to die, and then William's going to be the king.
We're going to have to shut down the show when the queen dies because nobody is going to listen. They're all going to be watching the funeral procession.
Sure. Let's air it.
So this is the end? Queen watching the fly past. You think she was just hanging out in there all morning, not really paying attention? Like they're like, yeah, there's a ceremony for you. I mean,
there's no way she cares about these helicopters. There's no way anyone on this balcony cares about what's going on. This is extremely boring.
Of a World War II aircraft?
Yeah, who cares? This birthday party sucks.
Well, it's because it's a month and a half late.
Honestly, everything the Royals do is really boring.
I think I'm starting to want to go to England.
I loved London.
You went?
Yeah, after my senior year of high school. I would live in England and not care.
$8:01 on a Thursday morning. Let's see here. So far today, Warriors, Celtics tonight, 9 p.m. We've discussed that. We've broke down Andrew Wiggins guarding Jason Tatum. Jalen Brooks is back with South Carolina football team. We've talked about him. We've talked about, there's other sports. What else have we talked about? We've talked about sports. Rangers walloped the Lightning last night, 6-2 in Game 1 in New York. We've also gotten into the Queen's Jubilee.
This part was that was actually cool. Did you see the last shot?
No, I was looking at you.
The vintage planes, including the Lancaster, Bomber, Spitfires, and Hurricanes.
Okay.
Those are actually cool planes.
Patrick has flipped over our television here. It did have the Duke's Mayo Bowl. It's June 2nd, so I think we're allowed to officially do this. Patrick, we've gotten into movies, 80s movies, which is tomorrow, your homework assignment for the top 3 80s movies you have to watch, which I guess I'll be watching whatever we suggest here that I haven't already seen. And when again, we've gotten into the Queen's Jubilee Platinum, by the way.
Platinum Jubilee.
Jubilee. And earlier, Patrick on the
You
live
only
stream.
get one Platinum Jubilee.
Why is it the Platinum one? Because she's 96. And does that mean is Platinum 75? I mean,
she's been on the throne, what, 70 years?
There's no way Platinum is 70 years. That's a very odd number to
70 years on the throne.
But is that what's the Platinum Jubilee?
Yep.
Yeah, 70th is
so the
platinum.
70th anniversary, your 70th wedding anniversary is your platinum? Really? Huh. Seems like an odd number to just be platinum. I would think it would be more of like a 75 or a
70 years is an outrageous amount of time to be the queen.
So does that mean that one club in town has been around for 70 years? Sorry, we'll keep going.
Thank you for saving that one for mostly after most kids are already in school on their final day of you had Jen being the most inappropriate of the three of us on the program. Congratulations, you won that one. 803-404-6100 coming up in about 37 minutes. We'll catch up with Kerry Tharp of Darlington Raceway. We will get into some NASCAR discussion as well. Get into a discussion. Jen's got to come in here and start on the nail painting here in just a minute. So, Jen, I know you're working hard behind the scenes back there, but
I'll be right there.
My nails need to look pretty and green, and we will live stream that. You'll be able to go to the live stream there. Go to youtube.com, click and subscribe, and you can watch as Jen will come in here for a beautiful piggy paint green, and there is some glitter in this puppy that is going to make me sparkle for the next few days. I'll probably wear it through the weekend for you, Patrick.
Not for me. It's not for me.
803-40.
Switch them to Warriors Blue for next week.
Warriors Blue for there we go. Now we're just we'll probably won't who are you taking? Who are
I
you
want the Warriors.
See, I like the Warriors.
I think we're in agreement. I think this show is on board the Warriors.
I like I said before you got here, I really don't care who wins. I want a good series. Tonight, 9:00, game 1 of the NBA championship. I don't mind either team. I don't have a dislike rooting interest here. I actually like
the city of Boston. I don't.
See, I'm not an anti-Boston. I've never been to Boston, but I'm not an anti-Boston guy there in that manner.
They've had too much success.
What I want to see is good. We have not had a good NBA playoffs. The playoffs as a whole in the NBA have been really bad, to be quite honest. There's not really been great games. There's been good, which is strange because Celtics Bucks went 7 and was a good series because it went 7 games, but most of the games weren't that good. There was 2 or 3. I think there was a game winner. This was a couple weeks ago. Game winner, I think in game 1 or game 2. I think game 6 was really good. Game 7 was a blowout. The Heat Celtics really 7 games again, pretty entertaining series, but the games themselves were not all that good. And so all I want to see starting tonight is good games, back and forth, and things coming down to the very end. You got an update on the Queen's Jubilee?
Those planes are flying in the shape of a 70. That was really cool.
It takes some talent. There's a lot.
Not those planes.
Yeah. So Patrick's fully involved in the Queen's Jubilee. I will ask you the same thing that I was starting ending the last hour with. Juju McDowell. You've got to use him in different ways. Richard weighs in. Richard not a fan of Marcus Satterfield, and I think you still have to. I think Richard, you've got to calm down on some of this with the players. He says we'll see a lot of guys transfer next year because our coaches don't know how to use the talent. Well, they certainly knew how to use them in the bowl game. You can't argue that. Now, can he do it on a consistent basis? Look, Marcus Satterfield at times, did he use Jordan Burst the right way? No. Okay, no. No. But you have to give him credit for being able to utilize the guys against Florida to be able to run the football, against Auburn to be able to win the game. Yeah, it was not good against Clemson. I'm not saying that they necessarily turned a corner, but you have to give him credit for having time and figuring some things out going into North Carolina. Can he do it consistently this year with a better quarterback and with more playmakers? Last year, this was a team at this time last year, Patrick, we didn't know who was going to even catch footballs at wide receiver. Yeah. Like there was nobody there. The quarterback situation was very unsettled. Things are a lot more settled. I'm willing to give Marcus Satterfield an opportunity this year to show what he can do. And I think the addition of Freddie Kitchens is very good from an offensive mind standpoint. and you've got guys around you. And Juju McDowell's one of these guys that I wonder if it's getting lost in the shuffle a little bit and where he fits in.
Yeah, so I think with the running, stylistically, you've got several different types of running backs. I mean, I guess Christian Beal-Smith is more of the bruiser. Marshawn Lloyd is, I guess, what you would be your most well-rounded or all-around skilled back, I think. And then Juju McDowell's your kind of change of pace speed guy. I definitely do think that there will be games where you're going to be more or less riding the hot hand. There will be games where sort of the outside zone kind of thing works, or where you just you're getting an edge by Juju McDowell getting the edge and beating guys to the outside, and he's going to find success that way. There will be games where you're just dominating between the tackles and Christian Beal-Smith is the guy, and there will be games where Marshawn Lloyd is the guy. So I just think there's going to be sort of hopefully different plans of attack against different types of defenses, so everyone will have their shot.
Okay, we got the official nail painter of the early game in here, and we will now paint the nails. You can see that on the live stream as we're doing that. And yes, there we go. We are that is a little chilly over there. So we got that going on. We got some college football discussion going on. Larry on our live stream says Juju in the slot. But again, Patrick, you talk about putting Juju out at wide receiver. You've got guys.
You've got a million wide receivers already.
And I mean, it's just, you thought doing the makeup was difficult while I kept talking. Doing the nails is going to be a lot more difficult, I believe. Other hand now, you can't just do one hand at a time. So, but that's the thing also. Like, you don't just look at Juju McDowell and say, okay, put him out there at wide receiver and throw him the ball. You've got Juice Wells.
Yeah.
You've got Josh Vann. You got my guy, Marion Brown out there. But you've also got Corey Rucker. We'll see where Landon Sampson fits in. A lot of people, and that's why I ask you. And also, don't forget about a guy like Austin Stogner and Jaheim Bell.
Don't forget that Jaheim Bell takes handoffs too.
Right.
Like, if you want to have your running backs at receiver, you can have your tight end at running back. There's a million different combinations you can do.
803-404-6100. Patrick, you're going to have to handle the
next break.
Well, no, you're just going to have to handle the
board. Yeah.
No, what I was going to say was just I think Jen's got it all completely under control, but I think what you're going to have to handle is checking the text line as well. I think I've just gone.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've just gone handsless for the rest of the program. Okay. All right. We'll continue working on this here as we get through this hour. As I pay off the bet here, you can go to our live stream, go to youtube.com, click search and subscribe. As I will have some nice green nails here in just a while. Jen's got a little fan going, so we now have a nice salon or whatever. 803-404-6100.
So you have gotten a massage on this show before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you've gotten nails painted.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the idea of getting a haircut during the show too. I need to figure out how to
haircut?
get like a barber in here.
I've got one that can do that. Candace Dowie can come on in
here and give us haircuts.
Yeah,
during the show.
During the show, we can promote National Haircut Day or something.
Kind of stealing LeBron's idea.
Is that? Did he do something like that?
That's his HBO show, the Shop.
Oh,
they all get their haircuts during the show. Terrible show.
Got that going on again tonight. Warriors and Celtics.
Kind of a weak crowd for the Platinum Jubilee.
You thought that was a weak crowd?
Literally filling every square foot of the street. These people have no lives.
Yeah. 803-404-6100. If you want to weigh in this morning, you can certainly do so. Patrick, back to, and as Lauren points out on the live stream, and I had makeup put on during the show. Yeah. Massage, makeup. We've as a team. Oh boy. Back to tonight's game. We're both in on the Warriors. You got an expectation for how many games this goes? I'm going to say 6. I think the Warriors in 6, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I almost kind of want to lean towards 7.
Yeah, I just don't think we'll be lucky enough to get 7. I kind of do like 6. I think 6 is a good number. I think that can be the official show. The official early game stance is Warriors in 6.
Okay.
I'm kind of on board with that.
And as we were talking about in hour number 1, biggest matchup in your opinion? I think it's got to be either Marcus Smart against or Marcus Smart trying to guard Steph Curry, or you're going with Andrew Wiggins guarding Jason Tatum.
Yeah, but there is also a part of me that thinks that whoever Draymond Green guards or Kevon, like these bigs of Boston, need to be held in check too. Because if Al Horford's just completely having his way and getting easy buckets in the paint, possession after possession, that's really not going to fare well for Golden State either.
Another underrated guy, and somebody I forget, and I can't go back right now because my hands are currently busy. But I forget it was on the text line or if it was on our live stream. But somebody pointed out Kevon Looney is another big part. The way he's played really in these finals, and that's another part of what the Warriors have done is taking some of these guys. Kevon Looney was a big-time recruit when he went to UCLA and was considered going to be a big-time pro prospect, but spent 1 year at UCLA and then went on and was a late-round draft pick by the Warriors. But he's a guy who's really come into his own and is a guy that's done a great job of being a rim protector. And he had 18 rebounds, I believe. I think it was game 6 against the Mavericks, and is a big part of that. And he's a guy that could play a big role in this series.
Yeah, and he's going to need to because, again, Boston's their physical team. They don't have – I mean, they have size, but they're not 7-foot, like, freaks. I mean, Robert Williams is stout and Al Horford is long, but I think Looney and Green, if they can keep those two guys in check together, they're going to be vastly outsized by Boston, but it's not going to be – I don't think it's going to be pure and utter domination, but they're going to need to hold up, and I don't think there's a ton of front court depth behind those guys, so that will be interesting. Kevon Looney's actually going to be a very important piece of this, and the Warriors' depth will – this is distracting. The Warriors' depth will be key. Like Jordan Poole off the bench is going to be huge. He was huge when Steph was out. So I don't know where I lean and who's got more depth. I think just overall Golden State's just a better team.
803-404-6100. You can also join us on our live stream as Jen is finishing up my left hand here to have some pretty green nails that you'll either be able to see on the lake or at a soccer party for my son this week. So, yep, we will let those dry. We will hit a break. Jen will control the board. So much going on here on the early game. You want just the picture of the one hand there, Jen? See? And you say I never pay anything off, Patrick.
Tony Annan just responded to the podcast clip from yesterday. I wonder if he's watching the Platinum Jubilee right now.
Big fan. We'll continue on.
We should have asked him. If I knew the Queen's Jubilee was today, I would have spent less time talking about Liverpool and more time talking about the Jubilee.
More time finding out what was going on with the Jubilee. We'll continue talking about that. We got a lot going on here as we roll through. It is a lovely and now green Thursday morning on the early game. My hand there's a lot of wrinkles on this hand to have fingernails. I feel like I've got my grandmother's hand right now. Wrinkles.
Sorry, I didn't bring lotion.
Green fingernails. Very beautiful looking. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. All right. Well, when you do something like this, that definitely means I'm not cleaning this weekend. When you get your fingernails painted, I guess that means it's going to be a nice, restful, relaxing weekend. But I still want the house clean. So what do? Well, it's time to get in touch with Zero Res. That's right. The professionals of the cleaning game. Zero Res is taking care of me and my family, and they will continue to do the same, not just for me, but for you as well. That's right. Zero Res, the absolute best in the business with that patented ZR water technology. And you can give them a call and book an appointment today. 803-262-4020 is how you can get in touch with Zero Res. That's right. Let your carpets and air duct be cleaned by Zero Res. Right now, they've got their huge summer sale going on. 15% off all cleaning services. Carpets, rugs, upholstery, tile, and air ducts, all 15% off. Go to ZeroResColumbia.com on the internet and use promo code SUMMERSALE. Again, that's ZeroResColumbia.com. Use the promo code SUMMERSALE, and you get 15% off all cleanings. Again, that's carpet, rugs, upholstery, tile, and air ducts. So don't wait any longer. If you're like me and you're getting your nails painted this morning and you realize it's probably ain't going to be a weekend where you clean the house, but you want it clean, call Zero Res or go online. You can call them 803-262-4020. You can go online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Again, use the promo code SUMMERSALE for 15% off all cleanings, carpet, rugs, upholstery, tile, and air ducts. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. hard to pay attention and get a full. It's hard for me to like stay focused on what you're saying. And now that fan is chilly.
So now that this has happened, we should take that off of the.
That's true. I could get on board with that. Like having
Because there's already things doubled up here.
Okay.
So take that off and move spray tan into that position.
Yeah. How long does it take for these things to dry? Because that fan that Jen brought it works.
I'm really glad that I'm never going to have to do this now. I'm crumpling it up and I'm throwing it out.
What do we think? Good, bad? Whew. You know, I thought this would be I thought it would be kind of funny and it's entertaining right now. But now that I'm like looking at it and like trying to explain this today,
yeah,
it's going to be a little bit more difficult than I initially thought. Like,
I will come back in and do. Let me see if I can get your top coat on you. I'll just because we're going to come back in pretty quick. Brits are short up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And mind you, I am not a professional, so this isn't perfect. But are you really looking for perfection?
No. Well, I don't know. I mean, if I have to go around like this, see, I don't mind doing this. This is the kind of wager, and I really didn't mind doing the other ones. There was just some, like the hockey one we couldn't just go to the hockey rink and shoot pucks at each other. The lake one we probably should have paid off.
So I'll run a little video when I do the next.
Oh yeah.
You feeling good?
That fan, the fan is cold. I mean, like.
Sorry. I was just trying to help you dry faster. That's all.
No, it's.
And I know it's probably choking you with the fumes. So yeah, we'll get to the second hand once we get back in.
It's almost funny to just do one hand.
That would have been worse, actually. Like that, Craig? Is that what you want? I'm trying to. The little fan that Jen has got going on, this little fan is really cold. Like, our studio is cold enough as is. It's chilly. It is probably better that we did this, that I did this, because initially I was like, all right, that would be funny. Like, that's a good punishment. But now I'm like, I also realize how much I use the back of my hand for something. I think I'm going to have to turn my back to you for this. (803-404-6100) is I have my left hand now painted, my nails painted green. Jen will come back into the studio and do the right hand next. You can go to the live stream and check out that and see how pretty they look. We'll probably do a TikTok video here shortly as well. Make sure we don't use a TikTok video with any curse words, but we will do that. So you can go to the Early Game 107.5, the game. I think it's the Early Game 107.5 TikTok page now, as I will do my get Jen to do my right hand. Patrick, down in Destin, they are trying to get everything lined up for the coming years. Again, I can't access our text line. I can real quick while Jen's doing that, but we had a couple people weigh in, and let me ask you this. I know they're not part of the conference now, and they're not there. They are not there. Texas and Oklahoma are not there at the SEC meetings. But I think the question is, how much do you allow some input from them? Like, do you Zoom them in for a meeting? Because it is Texas and Oklahoma should have a say or so in what, like, we're doing a scheduling model is being set up that they will have to be a part of, whether it's one permanent and 7 or 8 rotating or however it may be. How much input should Texas and Oklahoma be allowed to have on
Well, they
this?
don't get to vote, right?
Yeah, they have not, to my knowledge.
So that's why I don't understand. If they don't get to vote, they're not getting input. Like, they can say their piece, but if it's already contested, if there's already division on the way to do things, what is it? If they don't get a vote, what does it really matter? Like, they just get to say, they get a. I really don't get it. The vote is truly all that matters. Like, they can be involved in the discussion, sure. They can say their piece, but they don't get to vote. So what's the matter? So I think that's fair. They should be allowed to say, here, if we did get to vote, here's what we would say. Here's what we want to do. But what else are they saying? Like, I don't want to play Texas A&M. Is that what Texas is saying?
No,
it's tough luck. You're gonna play them
unless we know differently. They have, as far as we know, Texas and Oklahoma are not involved in these discussions in any way, shape, or form. And obviously, as you just said, they do not have a vote. Again, unless something's going on that has not been reported. I've read The Athletic, I've read ESPN. There's nobody that's reporting that Texas and Oklahoma, obviously they're not there. But also it doesn't sound like, they're being Skyped in or Zoomed in and they're being allowed to cast a vote. But it is interesting. And I think when you're talking about the future, and if I'm Texas or Oklahoma, and you're right, I kind of want to say on this, right? Like,
you do. Yeah.
I want to be able to, like, if you're talking about in the future, let's say they go with the 3-6 model, and you're sitting your Ray Tanner or your Scott Strickland from Florida, or what is it, Scott Woodward, I think at LSU. I forget who the athletic director is at Alabama, and you're trying to kind of navigate your 3 opponents. I mean, you want to keep rivalries intact. Alabama's not running off Auburn. They're not going to probably run off Tennessee, but then you're trying to find the best fit for your third team. If you're Oklahoma, you don't want to get matched up with, say, LSU, Texas A&M, and Florida is your 3 permanents. That does you no good. But if you're not there to kind of defend yourself, or if you're Texas and you're not there to kind of defend yourself or kind of argue for what you believe in, I don't know what Oklahoma. I can't imagine Oklahoma are just like, hey, man, we're in the SEC. Whatever y'all want to do to us, have your way with us.
How quickly do you think it would be possible if this scheduling, if they, whatever they decide on is unpopular or not going over great, how long are they committed to that? Can they just vote on it the next offseason and say, let's change this up because I don't like this?
And I think that's fair. I think that they certainly, what you're going to see, what we know to be true is that the divisions are going to go away. And you could conceivably, if you're the SEC, say, all right, we're going to set up this particular model until 2030. So we're going to do 5 years. We're going to do 5 years.
And then we'll
reevaluate at that point how we want to do. You're right. And this is the evolution of college football. And it goes back to also with scheduling and whether you go 8 or 9 games. It's why I asked earlier, if you're South Carolina, and again, I do think at some point the 12-game playoff is going to come into effect. You're with me on that, right? At some point, 12-game playoff is going to happen.
You would think so.
SEC is going to push that sucker down everybody's throat and make it work. Scheduling is going to come into play because then once you get past the conference champions or whatever we're down to at that point, people are going to say, all right, strength of schedule. Do you still want to play an FCS team if that's the case? Or if you're South Carolina and you got 9 conference games, you're picking up Clemson. Do you like the fact that you've only got to schedule 2 more non-conference games as opposed to 3?
Well, what if they go with the 8-game while it's still a 4-team playoff, and then if 3 to 5 years down the road, the 12-team format finally gets kicked in and they decide to go, okay, well now we're going to switch it up. Because I was thinking when you said Oklahoma doesn't want to get matched up with LSU and Florida or whatever, if they end up getting screwed over and then they join the conference, they're not going to just join the conference and be sort of the outcasts that just joined. They'll be 2 of the more prestigious members of the conference. They'll have a lot of clout immediately because they're both historic, successful programs with a lot of money. Like, they'll immediately have more. They'll immediately be more relevant than South Carolina is in the conference. Immediately from year 1, they'll be more relevant than Vanderbilt.
Well, when you say relevant, I don't know.
They'll be more relevant than Missouri.
When you say more relevant nationally as far as programs, but when they go into when they go to the SEC meetings, we know Alabama goes in there and basically can kind of dictate some terms on what they want.
Yeah.
Right. We know that. And there's a few other schools that can kind of go in and basically their say will carry more weight than, say, South Carolina's. I don't know if Texas and Oklahoma are going to walk into the SEC and be able to walk into a meeting room carrying the big stick and say, if you're Texas, I can't say for certain, and I kind of don't believe it'll happen, that Texas goes in and says, no, sorry, we don't want to play Texas A&M every year. Like if you go, it's interesting. Craig says on our live stream, it says it's not looking like the pod system is going to happen. It's going to be one permanent and 7 rotating. The last I've seen is the one permanent just doesn't work, and that's not the direction they're going to go because the SEC wants television is going to drive some of this. Disney, ESPN, Disney paying all that money for the SEC. They want Texas A&M. They want Texas, Oklahoma. They want Alabama, Auburn. They want Auburn, Georgia. I know you get them, every other year or something, but they want those on their schedule. And then along with the rotation of some other games coming back through where you get, say, Oklahoma, Florida every other year and Texas, Georgia every other year. But you want your main rivalries. And one of those, or a couple of those, is Texas A&M. And I'm not sure Texas can walk back into the room and say, we don't want to play Texas A&M anymore. And I got a feeling Texas A&M, if I'm Texas A&M, I'm going, bring on the Longhorns.
I'm not sure Texas can, but Oklahoma could feasibly come in and be the third best team in the conference.
Could, yes, I agree.
So if Oklahoma had a brutal permanent opponent set up, and they can say in a couple of years, look, we've been the third best team in this conference, and we just joined. You got to give us a better shot here because we're getting screwed. We don't want to play LSU every year. We want to play Missouri. We want to play Arkansas, Missouri. That's who we want our permanent opponents to be. Texas, Arkansas, Missouri. Stop making us play LSU in Florida. This is BS. We want to go to playoffs. We want to represent the conference, and you should want us to do that too. Oklahoma is positioned to probably be very, very relevant in this conference right away. It's going to be basically Alabama, Georgia, and then who's the next best team? A&M, LSU, Oklahoma, one of those three? Florida, maybe?
Yeah. I my feelings of Florida. I'm not going to put them in there. 803-404-6100. It's Bill Gunner with one hand with green. Are you just going to leave me hanging with one hand now?
No, as soon as we get into the break, I'll get the next one done. I'm sorry. I was a little delayed.
Yeah, we've got some green nails going on. You can go to the live stream and check that out. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to catch up with Kerry Tharp of Darlington Raceway. He is a man who I'm sure has never had his nails painted, so we're on different levels.
I can promise you that.
Different levels there. So you're listening to Bill Gunner, Patrick Brett, Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. I might have some pretty green nails right now, but I tell you what I also have, and that is no pain in my joints and my tissues. I feel great. Look pretty too, but I feel great. All because of QC Kinetics. 803-281-6860. You can do the same. Not the green nails. Trust me, you probably just want to feel great. You don't want to have aching joints. You want to be able to use QC Kinetics to help you get back to living the lifestyle you want. Give them a phone call today for a free office consultation. 803-281-6860. You can stop putting it off. QC Kinetics can help you get real relief from pain with no surgery, no drugs, and absolutely no downtime. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in these cutting-edge, all-natural options, and the patient satisfaction reports are absolutely incredible. Call them today again and get that free consultation. 803 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. QC Kinetics is helping people get the fun back in their life with advanced regenerative treatments from local medical professionals. You can be one of those people, not the medical professionals, the people get the fun back in their life. 803-281-6860. Call QC Kinetics today for that free consultation.
That's partly why I don't want to do this. I bite my nails. I have terrible hands.
Well, my nails are okay, but like my hand looks like a vampire.
Musical instrument means
Like
It
if you
means
just get like a little recorder.
and play it outside.
So pretty. He's loving it. And I should have pushed your cuticles back so I could be a little more even, but I'm not even.
I know that's part of the problem. We got just
So I'm a little uneven in a couple spots.
in theory, I'm becoming less thrilled with this idea the more so
The more
I can say like I thought it was funny. I wasn't like thrilled to do it. I wasn't pulling. I wanted you to have your nails painted because of the
I'm gonna go patch you guys back up.
Of the dread.
Cutie.
Thank you. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll catch up with Kerry Tharp of Darlington Raceway, get his thoughts on the race coming up this weekend. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. Again, we've been talking about the top 30 players of the SEC era. You can go to 1075thegame.com and place your vote there. The top 30 players of the SEC era. And earlier we talked about Marcus Robinson a little bit, Patrick. A couple people weighing in on Sidney Rice. What do you have memories just being, you weren't obviously here, but of Sidney Rice at South Carolina or anything you saw?
No, my memories of Sidney Rice are as a Seattle Seahawk.
Okay.
And that's about it.
So if we go through the list of guys you
or
kind
a Viking. He was a good Viking.
A good Viking. If we go through the list of guys that you're familiar with and you go Alshon, you should know Alshon from his time at South Carolina, Pharaoh, Debo, Brian, Edwards, Shy Smith, Ace Sanders, I believe you've got at least enough of a memory on.
Yeah.
Where are you going with this as far as, because I understand Troy Williamson, Zola Davis, Kenny McKinley, some of these guys, that's not in your wheelhouse. But if you go through the 2000s and you started talking wide receivers at South Carolina, who are you going with there is your guy? Cooper, Jeffrey, Samuel, Edwards. Shy Smith's 1 year breakout year was very underrated.
My gut feeling would be that Alshon Locke, and then Pharaoh and Debo, good chance, and then Shy and Brian Edwards. I just think 30 is not. I think 30 is too small.
30 is too small.
Too small of a number to fit Brian Edwards and Shy Smith in there. My gut feeling would be that they're not going to make that. But Debo and Pharaoh maybe, and Alshon definitely. Alshon's a lock for top anything, pretty much, right?
I would assume
like top 15. He's still on that list, right?
I think that's a great question as it pertains to you start like narrowing it down in this group. I'm assuming Clowney. We haven't talked defensive ends. Clowney would probably be one. I think Connor Shaw is going to be a top 5 guy. Lattimore's probably, but yeah, Alshon behind them, I think would be close. A couple people were weighing in earlier on the text line, and we're going with Sidney Rice over Alshon. Different receivers. Both were basketball players, both were tall, but Sidney was more of a lanky frame. Alshon was more of the physical, big body guy. And Alshon also had surprising speed. He had some longer touchdown catches that people forget about. There was one at Arkansas that was about 75 yards that he caught and ran away from the defense back in 2009, I believe. And then there was his long catch and run against Alabama in 2010 at the end there where he went over Drake Kirkpatrick and pulled it in.
I'm currently just trying to think in my head because I do have vivid memories of both because I was here for both. But the Pharaoh versus Debo debate, I feel like, is kind of an interesting debate.
Okay.
Who gets the edge in that? Because one, they're both dynamic in the return game. And honestly, as far as their NFL career goes, I feel like right now people would say, well, of course Debo was better because Debo did have he had that ridiculous Clemson game. And then now his time in the NFL is going to taint the view. But if Debo wasn't on the 49ers and wasn't being used by Kyle Shanahan in a perfect way to suit his skill set, I'm not 100% sure that Debo wouldn't have a similar role to Pharaoh because Pharaoh was an all-pro kick returner as well in the NFL. And Debo, that was kind of what he was thought to be best at for a while. So I kind of think I'm pulling up the stats right now. I think they're like pretty fair comparisons between the two of those guys.
You're pulling up the stats from college?
From each of them, yeah. And I guess I got to pull up those.
I'll be interested to hear the receiving stats because I feel like Pharaoh was the better wide receiver, whereas obviously Debo in college was the 10 times better return guy.
So Pharaoh never had a kick or punt return touchdown?
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is where it's going to be very interesting is I think that Pharaoh was the better wide receiver, is going to have the better wide receiving stats, helped that he played with better quarterbacks and had a better offensive mastermind than Debo. Debo only got the 1 year with Spurrier and he got injured in the first game against North Carolina. So with all that being said, Debo, though, in the return game,
he really didn't have that much more impressive
receiving yards,
receiving stats. Yeah. I guess Debo played. Debo's actually had a little bit better stats. No, Pharaoh's slightly better. So Pharaoh had 138 receptions for 2,100 yards, 18 touchdowns. Debo 148 receptions, more receptions, less yards, 2,000 yards, and 2 less touchdowns, 16
Well,
touchdowns.
Pretty even. I'd probably
He
give
had
the
7. Debo had 7 rush touchdowns. Farrah had 4.
I'd give the edge, obviously, because of the return game. I'd give the edge to Debo Samuel.
Yeah, I think so.
803-404-6100 coming up next. We catch up with Kerry Tharp, Darlington Raceway. I got some pretty nails here in the studio. Nice green nails, not pink. You can check that out on the live stream. You can go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click subscribe, and watch us there. Yeah, there you go. Little music in the background as well as we head on into the break. Kerry Tharp up next on 1075 The Game.
All right. I kind of want to turn the computer. There's no way we're going to get these people on phone. There's people standing outside the window on Gervais Street that think that they're on TV. I'm certain they think they're on TV because this girl's been standing here for a while, and then the guy just walked up and she said something to him, and he started looking through our window and doing some like pose and like messing with his hair. They definitely think that they're on television. Just radio friends.
He's modeling out there.
Yeah.
They either figured it out or they decided to walk off. Make them come closer. All right, so we got very attractive hands there. Left, right, left, up.
Yeah. This does remind me. I'm not agreeing with your take because I don't think he was so bad. I think Jake Bentley kind of gets a bad rap, but the Outback Bowl no longer exists.
That's true. What is it now?
Tampa Bay Bowl.
Tampa Bay Bowl.
What?
All right, how should we do?
What's going on here?
That was the Rotary Fiji. I don't know. Demetrius Summers was better than Debo in what way? Demetrius had
in high school?
Yeah, Demetrius had a lot more potential, and I loved him. Demetrius is a good buddy of mine, but all right, his fan's gonna go off. Yeah, Anthony, there you go. The bet has been paid off, and it is. It's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've already chipped a nail.
Are you serious? Because did you? Okay, well, you've missed this text from Brian Glenn. At what point will Bill utter the phrase, "Dang, I chipped a nail"?
Well, I guess I didn't chip it.
Brian Glenn texted us that 20 minutes ago.
Oh, I fixed it. It was just the nail polish that came up.
I still have to run in and do a top coat on you.
Final segment of the program. We'll catch up with Kerry Tharp here in just a second. He was in a little bit of a bad zone there, and will be calling us back. Nails are painted, and Patrick, I think I didn't chip a nail, but I think I just like moved part of it. I fixed it. But we had a text from Brian Glenn.
Yeah, I just texted him back on the Cougar Heating and Air text line too. He texted us and said, at any point this weekend will Bill utter the phrase, "Dang, I chipped a nail"? And literally 1 minute ago, Bill said the exact phrase.
I didn't say "dang, I chipped a nail."
Ooh, you said, like, "Ooh, I chipped a nail."
I was like, "Oh," but I think I fixed it. 803-404-6100. A couple of you weighing in on that. Anonymous texter here saying Sidney Rice is my favorite all-time receiver. He was double and triple covered, didn't matter. Blake Mitchell just had to chunk it up, and Sidney somehow came down with the ball. Sadler weighing in about tight end Jared Cook. He is on the list of people that we are kind of looking at and talking about. We'll continue on with that tomorrow. Again, also tomorrow, top 3 80s movies that you have had to see. Absolute can't miss. Top 3 80s movies you've had to see. And one of the guys who we will take input on that from up next on the Love Chevy phone lines, a man with knowledge of 80s movies, maybe not painted fingernails, but 80s movies, Kerry Tharp, weighing in this morning. And Kerry, let's start with the question that everybody wants to know. Have you ever had your nails painted, fingernails?
No, but I hear that you have.
I have now, yes.
It's all over the internet. It just popped up on my on my news feed here on my phone, and it's pretty interesting that you allowed them to do that. But when you lose a bet, you gotta stand up and take whatever the deal is. But yeah, I've never had them painted, at least not that I'm aware of. But it sounds like to me that you may have found a fashion trend there, Bill.
Not that you're aware of.
I was going to say,
Kerry woke up at the infield of Darlington one morning, very confused.
I unplugged that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait, Darlington is a party spot. What do you mean, not that you're aware of it? That also implies that he was passed out for more than 24 hours. Is what that means.
No, y'all are reading way too much into that.
Let's Kerry Tharp joining us this morning as he does each and every week. Let's talk about the Coca-Cola 600 last week. Long race. Was it the longest? We were discussing this on Tuesday. Was it the longest in NASCAR history? It was the longest ever for the Coca-Cola 600, and Jen said that's usually the longest race for NASCAR every year. So was that the longest race in NASCAR history, Kerry?
It was the longest race in terms of mileage. For a NASCAR event. I think it was 614 miles. I think the race itself took like 5 hours and 20 minutes, although I think there's been longer Coca-Cola 600s. I think the all-time longest Coca-Cola 600 was like 5 hours and 45 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
But, who's counting the minutes? But I think as
long.
far as the length of the miles, since it went double overtime, it was the longest in NASCAR history at 614 miles.
Wow, that's amazing. It was and what did you think of, all of the action? And there were talks. I've heard discussions about the tires, and Goodyear has kind of put their statement out that, we say a certain PSI, but they're pushing the limits and the load on the tires and everything. So where do you think they're going to go from here as far as tire issues?
Well, yeah, I thought it was a fantastic race. I was up there.
Great.
Of course, I left after 40 laps in and got back to Darlington and got to see the biggest part of the race. But I thought that the racing was fantastic, and I do know that there were some tires that got blown and that type of thing. But a lot of times, like you said, Jen, it's up to the teams to make sure they got the proper air pressure, and a lot of times they go below those recommendations. And when you do, you're kind of playing with fire. You're likely to suffer some tire issues, and so. We saw some of those, and of course, this new car I think has showed us that it's kind of hard on tires, and I think both Goodyear and NASCAR are still learning about this new car and what tires how they react under a lot of stress and a heavy load, and certainly when you're running that long, sometimes you're going to have tire wear. So it was very, very hot up there when the race started around 6 or so. And then the track temperatures changed dramatically as the sun went down and the track cooled off, etc. But
that's what makes it fun.
From a standpoint of competition, I thought it was one of the better 600s that I have ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend, the boys head to Illinois for this race. What is the official title of this race? I actually didn't look and see that.
It's the Enjoy Illinois 300.
Okay, all right. The Enjoy Illinois 300. Thank you. No wonder they didn't publish that anywhere.
Nobody enjoys Illinois.
All right, now I get why. Like Jen's got all the race names on here, and then we know we're at Worldwide Tech Raceway, a egg-shaped race, and you got our egg-shaped track. And I'm sure both of you two are well aware the banking only 11 and 9 degrees in the corners, so you've got to kind of take that into effect. Going to be a fast racetrack, which
what kind of track? What a couple other tracks that are on the series. Which is this similar to?
Well, it's very similar to Phoenix. Very similar to Richmond, and of course Martinsville. Those are the three that I really had to analyze in breaking down this race. Those tracks, they provide a nice variety that when blended together, they give us a great idea, or gave me a great idea of how these drivers have been performing at tracks similar. So Phoenix, Richmond, Martinsville. Again, you got to blend those kind of together to give me a good starting point, Patrick.
You got to be good at turning left.
Is he close, Kerry? Because I really thought it was more similar to like Pocono.
No, I think he's pretty close, particularly with the Phoenix comparison. The track's a little over a mile long. I think it's like 1.2 miles.
1.25. Yep. 1.25. Got to take that into account.
They say that there is similarities between Phoenix and Richmond. Someone said even if you're up above flying in, it looks a little bit like Darlington because it is kind of shaped like an egg. It's an odd-shaped racetrack. So, the thing that's going to be interesting is I don't think any of these Cup drivers, unless they raced in the Xfinity or Truck Series several years ago when they raced, it used to be called Gateway. I think there's a lot of these Cup drivers probably have never raced here. So I think it's going to
I did read like 22 of the drivers have of the 36.
Cup drivers have raced here. So that's going to make an interesting an interesting dynamic. Now they will get some practice, but not as much as they used to. So I think it's going to make it for quite an interesting afternoon on Sunday.
Okay. All right. So let's carry as we go into this. Keep messing up these nails. Reggie Anderson with 58 points. Did Reggie win again or not? Okay. I didn't do well last week. That's the reason he pulled further ahead of me. Reggie's at 58. I'm at 45. Jen's at 38. Kerry's at 37. So Reggie's just whipping us all right now. But Kerry, you're trying to make the move out of last place. Who are you going with to make that move?
I tell you what, I'm gonna go with Alex Bowman, and I don't know why.
I don't either.
He's gonna win over there at Worldwide Technology. He's pretty good at Richmond. He's pretty good at Phoenix. So I'm going with Alex Bowman.
Jen?
Good call.
No, it's not.
Okay, well, I think it is. So there you go. I don't know. I'm feeling Blaney.
That's not a bad one. That was one of my two. That's a very good one.
I feel so much better.
That was one of my two. Blaney's been very good. He had maybe the best car in Phoenix. He was very good at Richmond. He had the 4th best average running position at Martinsville. It's pretty good. Not bad. Not bad. Tell you what, give me Chase Elliott. Elliott, very fast. He won the 1 mile track at Dover. He finished 5th. This is in my notes, Kerry. He finished 5th at the 1.336 mile egg-shaped but highly banked Darlington Raceway. Give me Chase Elliott to win this week.
Oh, my.
All right.
Kerry, we always appreciate your time, buddy. Yep.
Okay. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
Take care. All right. We've talked with Kerry Tharp.
We've painted nails.
We've painted nails, and we've covered the Queen's Jubilee. What a program. Patrick, we talk sports, too.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Mostly just painted nails and talked about the Queen, though.
But let's go.
Good sports
road trip to Buc-ee's.
And trips to Buc-ee's. See you tomorrow.
The NFL with live local radio. 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus.
All right, everybody. It was an interesting one. Can't say that wasn't an interesting show. But We'll see how the nails hold up tonight.
Yeah.
We will see everyone tomorrow. Don't chip that paint today. Or do. Or chip it all.
Yeah.